times of war, exhausted by the everlasting bitterness between men. On that September day of 1945, I thought, would there ever be a true peace? A peace when walls between nations would fall, men would be in conflict only against poverty and illness, and the word unhappiness would be stricken forever from the human heart?
It started out as a wonderful day. All over the world, the weather was unbelievably perfect.
Where it was daylight, it was the clearest, bluest daylight in the memory of mankind.
Where it was night, the sky was cloudless, and the moon and the stars gave light bright almost beyond belief.
And as all mankind shared the blessings of perfect weather, so also they shared a common, all-encompassing interest. For on this day, men of all nations grouped around their radios and televisors, watching and listening to an epical event which was taking place in a great council hall of Geneva.
Yes, epical indeed was this meeting, for in the great vaulted chamber sat 1,000 men of many tongues and many colors, of many temperaments, many ideologies, the chosen representatives of their nations, come together in council to meet and discuss a cause close to the heart of every man.
And as each representative rose and spoke, from Tokyo to Melbourne, from Cape Town to Moscow, from Santiago to Nome, the ears and the eyes and the hearts of all mankind were with him.
Black man, white man,
yellow man, brown man,
red man,
listening and hoping.
Indo-European,
Arab and Berber,
Mongolian,
Malayan and Polynesian,
American Indian,
Dravidian,
African, Australian and Papuan,
hoping and listening.
Protestant,
Roman Catholic,
Jew and Mohammedan,
Confucian and Buddhist,
Orthodox Catholic, Brahmin and heathen.
All of them listening and hoping.
The next speaker, Signor Arati.
Citizens of the world, I salute you. In the name of my people, I salute you. This is a great day. This is a day when the strong heart is glad. This is a day when a strong heart is sing. For today, for the first time in the history of the world, all men become like a blood brothers. For too many years, my people have wars. Too many wars. We have had too many wars. You have had too many wars. My people have had wars because for too many years we have had a crazy dream. A dream to have again a great empire. Our empire. The empire of the Caesars. Now, finish. No more. Today my people said to all people, you are our brothers. We join you forever. And next speaker, the Right Honorable Mr. Walters.
Gentlemen of the world, as a representative of my government, I bring you most cordial greetings and felicitations. This is indeed an historical movement, this joining together of all the races of mankind for the common good. Great was the moment when the Magna Carta was signed. As great indeed were the moments when the various constitutions were signed. But I say to you that this, indeed, is the greatest of moments. This moment of submersion of nationalistic ambition for the international good. My country, for years, has fought many wars. Our ancestors thought some of them righteous. But we, of this more enlightened time, renounce this shame forever. And we thrust behind us forever the imperialistic ambitions which have cost us the blood of our youth for so many centuries. Yes, from this moment henceforward, we give our empire to the world.
Attention, please. The next speaker, Prince Fatui.
Honorable friends, we are a small nation, yet our influence has been felt throughout the world. But this influence, unfortunately, has been aggressive. Today, I am happy to say all that is ended. We renounce the error of our fathers. We renounce belief that our island is the seat of godliness, and we join in this great idea that all men are of God, and all men are one, and all men can live as one in brotherhood and happiness. Banzai.
And now, another representative of a great people, Monsieur Renac.
Messieurs et dames, I speak for a nation. Many have said this is a momentous occasion, but perhaps to no nation is it a greater occasion than it is to mine, which for many centuries has sat behind great barriers repelling invaders of our sovereignty. But today we strike down these barriers with our own hands, and we throw wide our arms and say to you, we are your brothers. We, a nation of individualists, a nation that has known hatred, turns from individualism and hatred to solidarity and love with all mankind. In the name of my nation, I salute the fraternity of mankind.
The time grows short. A few words from the representative of a great democracy.
My friends, I stand here before you alone. And yet, I assure you, 120 million of my countrymen are with me here in spirit. For many years, our national policy has been to mind our own business and to keep our powder dry. That was an excellent policy when nations were at each other's throats. But today, I stand here to tell you that we have renounced this policy. We have renounced it because we have outgrown such beliefs, even as nations have outgrown the belief that the only manner in which to settle disputes is by force. As a mature people, we reach out beyond the oceans which surround us and say to all of you, we are as you. You are as we are as one. We join in this great international movement without fear, without reservation. United we stand, all of us, forever.
For the final signature on this historic document, a closing word by the representative of another great people, Herr Gamling.
Viverschaft, brotherhood is a noble work. I now bring you this word as a representative of my people. For many years, my people have walked as one, perhaps bowed their head as one, regimented in the belief that we must work together and believe together. Some of the things we have believed, I stand here to tell you, have been false. It has taken many years of leadership, but now we know they are false. There is in the blood no right of leadership. Leadership is not in the blood. It is in the heart and the minds. This day we turn our blood into the great bloodstream of all mankind. White, yellow, black, the blood is the same. All are brothers, and today all stand together in peace forever. 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 Gentlemen, if you please. Gentlemen, attention, please. It grows late. Attention, please. We have been in session many days. All of us are weary and anxious, I am certain, to return to our native home. So now, let us, without further delay, turn to our final task, the happy one of ratifying this great international treaty which forevermore removes all barriers between nations, which makes of us the United Nations of the world, joined together for all eternity in common brotherhood, in everlasting peace. Our vote will be by acclamation. All those in favor of this great covenant will rise.
And that was the day the sun exploded.
My thanks and yours to Ingrid Bergman, B. Benaderet, Jimmy Cagney, Betty Davis, Olivia de Havilland, Katharine Hepburn, Elliot Lewis, Raymond Massey, Mercedes McCambridge, Paul Muni, Lloyd Nolan, Alfred Ryder, Norma Shearer, Jimmy Stewart, and to the many, many other actors, and to Marty Halpern, and the scores of other technicians who made these records possible. A low bow to the musical Gordon Jenkins. In saying goodbye to you, may I give you one last thought. It is this. For the sake of our children and the world's children, remember.
Can you predict what will come in 100 years? Can you see beyond the known dimensions of time and space into the unknown, Dimension X? The ridge stars spread 200 light years across space. To the passengers on the immigration spaceship from Earth, they appear to be pinpoints of light in the darkness. The men, women, and children slept in their bunks in the tiered dormitories, or sat reading the immigration folders that described the worlds of the ridge stars in glowing, rosy terms. Anne Travis stood before the vision port and searched for the spot of light which would be her new home.
You can't tell which is which, can you? Well, I asked the steward for mine. There it is, you see? That nice, bright little star up in the left-hand corner. That one? Yes, Alka 3. I'm going to meet my son there. He sent for me. Harry always was a good son. I used to say to my husband just before he died, Harry is a good son. I'm going to Doridora 3. My sister's there. Oh, isn't that nice? It's a wonderful thing for a young girl like you to start life way out here. I used to tell Harry's father that if he had any spunk, he'd be out on the ridge stars making a fortune. He was assistant buyer at Bloomingdale's kitchenware. I see. Maybe if I asked the purser, he could point out Doridor 3. Oh, well, you go ahead, dear. You've paid your fare like everybody else. What did you say your name was? Anne Travis. Well, I'm Lottie Elders, Mrs. Harold E. Elders, though, of course, I don't use Harold's name now. Are you all alone? Yes, my folks died last year. That's why I'm coming out to live with my sister. Oh, why, you poor child, traveling halfway across space with nobody to talk to.
Attention. Attention, all passengers.
There it is. I just know it.
You are now within the Ridge Star Quadrant. The trip is almost over. Captain Braxton wishes me to inform you that a vote will shortly be taken to determine on which planet of which sun every passenger of this ship will be landed.
What is he talking
The
about?
majority will decide, and all must abide by the decision.
I don't understand. What did he say about a vote? I don't believe it. He said everybody had to go to the same planet, didn't he? But Harry's on Alpha 3. Look here, Mrs. Elders, they can't get away with this. They can't just set us down anywhere. I've got to meet my sister, but what can we do? I don't know, but I'm going to find out. I'm going to see the captain right now.
Landing manifest 12436. Cargo holds 1 through 12 at premium rate, including...
Sir, I want to see the captain.
Oh, look, I'm busy now.
What kind of an outrage is this? I'm going to join my sister on Doridor 3. That's where I bought my ticket for, and that's where I'm going. Vote or no vote.
That's what you think, baby. I'll call you back, Jerry.
I want to see the captain immediately. Do you hear?
Yeah, sure, I hear. Perfect in both ears.
What's the meaning of this? What are you people trying to get away with?
We're not trying, sister. You're in space now, kid. We don't go by Earthside red tape.
But my ticket...
Oh, you can paste that in the scrapbook. That's all it's worth. Where you're going, kid, fortunes are made and lost every day. The rich stars are wide open, and what the big operators say goes.
But my sister's waiting for me.
Oh, she'll get tired. It's a game, kid, and you're in.
The folder said you were encouraging immigration.
Oh, sure. But all the improvements in Earthside working conditions in the past 50 years were to prevent wholesale immigration to the rich. That's why we have to cut the price of the tickets below cost to suck you immigrants out here.
Why did you lie? Why won't you take us where we want to go?
It's simple, kid. The only way to make a profit is to dump each shipload in one place. This cargo goes to Delphi 2.
But the announcer said there was going to be a vote.
Oh, sure. But we've got it rigged so Delphi 2 gets it. Simple, isn't it?
But you can't.
Oh, it's not so bad, Delphi. It's okay. Real balmy. Great world. Especially for a kid like you.
But how would I get to my sister? She's expecting me on Doridor 3. Can I take another ship?
Not where you're going.
What do you mean?
Look, baby. Space travel is an Earthside monopoly. They own the patents on the rocket power that makes space travel possible. Now, the rich government offered a prize for a new kind of power that wouldn't infringe on Earth rocket patents. But until that drive is developed, you just won't get off Delphi 2.
You can't travel to another planet?
That's right. There isn't any public transport, and only a millionaire could afford a private jet.
You mean I'm just stuck?
Like a fly on flypaper. Hey, where you going?
Back to my bunk. I want to lie down.
Wait a minute. I'm afraid you can't leave here till that boat is taken.
Why not?
Well, I'm a kindly type, friendly fella. I always give a straight story to anybody, but that means I've got to keep them under wraps. So, you'll stay right here till we land on Delphi 2.
Mrs. Elders, what shall we do? I'm sure I don't know. Harry, he's my son, you know. He'll be just frantic.
Attention! Any immigrants not cleared or in the proper line in 10 minutes will will be indefinitely detained.
Oh, dear, I haven't been cleared yet. Oh, well, you'd better go then. I'll wait for you right here.
Oh, be sure you do, dear. I'm so frightened. Oh, which way do I go?
Oh, the ink line is over there, see?
Oh, I don't have my distance glasses. You will wait for me, dear?
Yes, right here. Go along now.
All right, you. Come on.
Who are you?
Never mind. Come on. Grab her, Al. Come on.
Let go of me. What's the idea? Let go.
Get her.
Who are you? Let go. Let go.
We can't take any chances, Al. Put her out.
Right.
Come on, up.
What happened?
Come on, sit up.
What? Who are you? Your face.
That's a motor-driven face dissolver mask.
I've read about them. I've never seen one. Who are you?
That's why I'm wearing a mask, because I don't want you to know.
But there must be...
Look, lady, quit babbling. I hauled you in because you're pretty and intelligent-looking.
But why?
You're going to make 1,000 stellars for yourself, whether you like it or not. Now stop looking like a scared rabbit.
You can't do this. I'll call the police.
The police? What do you know about the Red Star's government?
Nothing.
Obviously. Around here, things are different. Now, listen. You go to the New Sol Hotel. As soon as you're registered, you go to the Fair Play Employment Agency. They'll take care of you. Now, take this. It's a tape reel. Play it back in your room. It'll tell you what to do. After it's played once, it'll destroy itself. Is that clear?
I don't understand this at all.
Have you ever heard of the 7-day poison?
I don't think so.
Well, it's an interesting device. It feeds on the blood. On the 7th day, undergoes a chemical change and...
Oh.
Very easy to use. You just inject it like this.
Oh.
Yeah, it's all over. For 7 days. The beauty of this poison is it can be made to look like a lock pattern in many thousands of small variations. But the only antidote must be some of the original poison at its base. And I have that. Don't get hysterical. I'll keep the antidote here. You can get it after you've done what I want.
But I don't know where I am. I don't know who you are. What if something happens to you?
That's your problem. But remember, the police can't help you. I have the antidote to the poison. All right, I'm through with her. Take her out and drop her at the hotel.
Yes?
And Travis?
Yes? Who's this?
Play that tape reel and get started. We'll be watching you.
Hello? Hello?
Hotel New Sol desk. Can I help you?
I was cut off. Someone was speaking to me.
I'm sorry. There was no incoming call on your line. Can I help you?
No, never mind. Better play that tape. I guess you push this button.
You will find in your purse a full cigarette case. Half of the cigarettes are doped. Tomorrow, you will be hired as private secretary to Arthur Blord. When you're alone with him, you will give him one of the cigarettes. The case ejects 2 at a time. The outer one is doped. When he's unconscious, push the brown knob on the case. That will call my men, and they will come for you. You must come with them if you wish the antidote to the poison. After that, you'll be transported to any Ridge Star you wish. As soon as you've played this reel, go to the Fair Play Employment Agency. There's no time to waste. Tomorrow, the 7-day poison will have only 6 days to go. Now that the reel is finished, it will destroy itself.
Why do they have to pick me? Oh, the reel! Come on, Travis. You've got 7 days.
Come in, Miss Travers. Well, everything seems in order. I must verify one thing.
Yes, Mr. Margerson?
You did arrive just yesterday on that immigrant ship from Earth.
Oh, yes, sir.
And this is your first job, not only on Delphi, but on any planet other than Earth.
Yes, sir, that's right.
We'll check that, of course. In the meantime, we can go up to see Mr. Blord. You'll be his private secretary. Just wait, please.
Did you say...
Did I say what?
Never mind. Nothing.
Have you heard of Arthur Blord before?
Not exactly.
You would if you'd been in the Ridge Stars longer. Amazing man. Amazing. We'll wait here for the elevator.
He must be very important.
Important? There are names out here that they've never heard of back on Earth, and the greatest name is Arthur Blord.
Really?
In less than 10 years, he's made himself an astronomical fortune. Astronomical. Here we are. After you. Penthouse.
What's he like?
You'll see. Very dynamic. Sharp. He outsmarts the big shots, the planetary operators. They exploit whole worlds. He exploits them. They hate him, the Ridge Star operators. Well, here we are. Come along, Miss Travers. Mr. Blord is waiting for you. Mr. Blord, this is Ann Travers, her record and references.
Not interested. You check them. Margerson, get out.
Yes, Mr. Blord.
Ready, Miss Travers?
Yes, Mr. Blord.
Take this dictation. Chromium field on Transion 4, value 100 billion stellars. Just plain slogging. Let somebody else do it. Trigona 7. Forest, all treasure wood, priceless. Dennis Carey, operator, hard, cruel, brilliant. Should be interesting if I All right, Miss Travers. You're new to Delphi, too, aren't you?
Yes, Mr. Blord.
I like new cities, new planets. They're soulless. They have no culture, no institutions with hardening of the arteries.
Yes, sir.
Now, I came out here as a wiper in an Earthside liner and jumped ship at Transion 4. That was 10 years ago. You couldn't do that on an old world. Earthside, they developed the science. Out here, we use it. The great developments today aren't in science. You don't believe that, do you?
I'm not sure, sir. Will there be any more dictation, Mr. Blord?
No, that's all. Don't leave yet. Mind if I smoke?
No.
Like a cigarette?
I, sir?
I asked if you'd like a cigarette.
Oh, thank you, but I have my own.
Oh? Earth cigarettes? Would you mind letting me have one? They're very rare out here.
Of course.
That's an interesting case. Eject 2 at a time.
Here, Mr. Blord, take one.
Yes, thank you. Haven't smoked one of these in years. Light, Miss Travers?
Thank you.
Oh, drop the lighter under the desk. I'll get it. Sit back in your chair. Should be down here. Miss Travers. Miss Travers. Hello, Dr. Gregg. Lord. I've got a girl here I want you to examine. No, she's out cold. Nope. Had her sitting in that wired chair, and I just threw the switch. There was something phony about her from the beginning. The pickup needle from her chair was jumping like a kangaroo, and when I mentioned cigarettes, it practically blew a fuse. That's what I want to find out. Why she should be carrying doped cigarettes. I want her examined. The full hypnotism treatment if necessary. I want to find out who sent her. I want to know who's gunning for me.
There you are, Blord. That's the best I can do, short of a full-length narco-analysis.
You sure about that 7-day poison?
Absolutely. She's got less than 6 days.
And she was right off the immigrant ship. This is the first time I've had a plant. Somebody found out I hire 'em fresh from Earth.
I've got her memory track on that face dissolver mask. It was Delaney.
I thought so. But he isn't working alone. It's that gang working for the prize on the new space drive. I got into the competition 2 weeks ago, and I guess they're afraid of losing the money they've put into research.
What about this kid? She's got 6 days to live, and I wouldn't take any bets that they try to save her if she doesn't deliver the goods.
They wouldn't even save her if she did. Delaney wouldn't want witnesses. Doc, set everything up the way it was before she went under.
What are you going to do?
I'm going to let them take me.
Wait a minute. They're liable.
I know what they're liable to do, Doc. You take care of the girl and leave the rest to me.
Okay. It's your funeral.
Maybe. Now, let's revive Miss Travis. You set up the projectors. Come on, up to it.
All set now. When you reverse the field, she'll come to, and she won't even know anything happened. You remember exactly what you were doing when you knocked her out?
Sure. I was looking for the lighter under the table for that doped cigarette of hers.
Well, I'll be going. Good luck, Artur. You'll need it.
I'll be seeing you, Doc. All right, Miss Travis. Now let's take up where we left off.
Oh, I felt faint for a minute. Did you find the lighter, Mr. Blord?
Yes. Thank you. I haven't had a good drag on an Earth cigarette in years. It's... stronger than
I've got to call those men now. Let's see the brown knob on the case. I didn't want to hurt him, but what can I do? What can I do?
How's Blord, Hal?
I'd like a light. This dame sure fixed him.
Where are we going?
What do you care?
Tell her. In 6 days, it won't matter.
The boss give orders.
What's the difference? These two are dead ducks.
What do you mean?
You think the boss will give you that antidote?
He promised.
Hal, he promised.
Did he really?
But did he give his scouts honor?
You know, spit twice and cross his heart.
Please, stop it. What will happen to him?
Blord? Oh, you got me. Last 3 guys I brought over here ended up in the disposal unit.
You mean they'll kill him?
Wouldn't be surprised.
Oh, no, they couldn't.
They don't play for marbles out here in the rich stars.
But the police...
It's just like Earthside, sister. Police take their cut and arrest a couple of bindle stiffs every night to make it look good.
Lord was playing around with some pretty big men. He knew what he was getting into.
Oh, I didn't think they'd kill him. I don't know anything about the ridge stars.
Oh, that's tough, lady. Real tough.
There's the beam. We're hit.
All right, fasten your straps. I'm taking her down.
Where are we going?
You're on Delphi 1.
What is this place?
A private estate. Very private. How you coming with Blord, Al?
He's heavy.
All right. We stop here. I gotta spring the voice lock. Combination. 1, 3, alibi, Peter, uranium. Repeat. These things never work. 1, 3, alibi, Peter, uranium. All right, drag him in now. Where do you want him, boss?
Clamp him in the chair.
Give me a hand, will you?
Yeah.
All right. Get his feet straight. Now throw the clamps.
Inject the key stimulant.
Right, boss. Tear off his sleeve, Al. All set, boss.
Do we have to keep on the masts? I got a cold.
No, I think we can do without them. Shut off the power. There we are.
He's coming, too. Delaney. What am I doing here?
I think we can get down to business, Lord. We represent 90 companies. We've entered the Ridge government contest to develop a space drive that won't infringe on Earthside patents.
Oh? Well, Delaney, I've got news for you. Unless one of you has a power drive that's 25% faster than an Earthside rocket, you're licked. What do you mean?
You must know, Delaney, you said...
Quiet. Can't you see he's trying to get us arguing?
When I heard some of the low speed you boys were
Shut
using...
up.
All right. You have the floor, Delaney.
2 weeks ago, you entered the contest. We know your reputation. You can't afford a failure.
Your whole financial structure is a bluff.
We know you have the drive. Lord, you better save time. Tell us now. What does your space drive run on?
Twisted rubber band.
You'll force us to extremes, Lord. All right, take that girl out of here.
No, let go of me. You can't kill him. I didn't know you tricked me into getting him.
Get her out.
Come on, sister.
Let's go.
Oh, all right. So you want to play rough?
Okay, that's 23 you owe me. Your deal. Cut. I trust your deal. Oh, she's coming too, huh? That's nice. Deal from the top.
Did they kill him?
Who knows? You want the top card? No, neither do I.
Where is he?
In there.
They'll let him go, won't they? They've got to. I didn't realize they'd kill him.
Well, thank you. Just the card I wanted. A pleasure, I'm sure.
Look, you've got to tell me. Are they going to kill Mr. Blord?
Look, lady. A, you are interrupting a very important card game. B, you're better off if they do kill Blord. Let's face it, kiddo. You crimped him good.
Crimped him?
You think he's going to like you for doping him and getting him into this mess? Blord's a tough guy. When he first come out to the ridge, he killed 3 men in a mining camp over on Trancher when they double-crossed him. Sure, if he ever gets out of this, I wouldn't bet a lead slug on your life. I'll go with 10.
Please.
Tough luck, Sonny. I got 3. And double for spades. Yep, if Blord gets loose, I wouldn't want to be in your place.
But I didn't understand. They tricked me.
I don't think Blord will sympathize. Deal a card, will you? Hold it. Lord, you're a crawling rat.
I'm a realist, Delaney.
He's alive.
You got me. So I'll make a deal. Now look, we form a joint stock company. Each of you signs over his patent rights to the new firm, and we split the shares.
You hear that?
You get my space drive. I get 25%. Delaney runs the new company. The whole deal to be publicized if you wish.
Lord, when this gets out, it'll ruin you. They'll despise you when they find out how much dirt you've eaten.
Well, I didn't have much choice, did I? All right. Now the other part of the deal. You got me here through a certain young lady.
Now, we can dispose of her.
No, I think I'd like to do that. I'll take her as part of my 25%. Any objections, Delaney?
No, just be careful. Get rid of her clean. We don't want any mess left around for the Ridge government to find.
What are you going to do with me? You promised
Did I? Get rid of her, Blord. Only make it clean.
You can loosen your strap now. We're on automatic.
Where are we going?
Back to Delphi 2.
I didn't understand what they were going to do.
I know.
I didn't realize.
I'm sure you didn't. Miss Travis.
What are you going to do?
I'm going to pay you off.
Let go of my arm. Let go. Let go of me!
Shut up. What are you screaming about? Now hold still. This won't take a second. Just one small injection.
No, don't. Let me go, please.
Stop screaming. Stop. There. Scratched my face like a cat.
Will it take long?
What?
For me to die.
For you to...
Stop it, please. Please, stop it.
But it's funny. It's very funny. That was the antidote.
The antidote?
The 7-day poison Delaney gave you. I got it from him before we left. Young lady, I knocked you out in my office and had your mind examined. I knew just what you had done. I came here because I wanted to.
Oh. You mean you're not angry with me?
Certainly not. Besides, everything turned out my way.
Your way? But they forced you to give them the drive. You signed away the right.
I'm a percentage man. Let them do the operating. Besides, it was their drive in the first place.
Their drive?
Yes, it's simple. I knew that after the contest there'd be a merger of research, so I merged it before instead. Wait till they discover they signed away their own patent rights. I don't think they'll feel like laughing then.
But to give Delaney control of the new company.
But don't you see, I had to get him to go along. He had the antidote to your poison.
What about me now?
Look at the vision port. Now turn up the scale.
Oh.
That's the ridge. You can have your pick. Name your world, and I'll take you there. You said your sister was on Doridora 3.
Yes, but...
But what?
I wonder if the opportunities for advancement aren't greater on your planet, Mr. Blower.
You know, Miss Travis, I wouldn't be a bit surprised if they were.
How would you like to live in a world no larger than a single gigantic rocket ship? You'll find out more about it next week on...
Today, Dimension X is transcribed competition, adapted for radio by Ernest Kenoy from a story by E.M. Hull. Featured in the cast were Elaine Rost as Anne and Les Tremaine as Arthur Blord. Your host was Norman Rose. Music by Burt Berman, engineer Bill Chambers. Dimension X is produced by William Welch and directed by Edward King.
The CBS Radio Workshop, dedicated to man's imagination, the theater of the mind. Today, The Space Merchants, Frederick Pohl's and C.M. Kornbluth's modern classic about the future when the wizards of high-pressure salesmanship take over. It's the story of Mitchell Courtney, a copysmith, star class with Fowler Schock and Associates, the biggest and greatest advertising firm of the future, and a tale of a rocket ride to Venus.
As I rubbed depilatory soap on my face and waited for my beard to melt away, I switched on the news over the bathroom mirror. A funny little man whom I finally recognized as the president had given another speech last night. There was a shot of the Venus rocket, squat and silvery on the Arizona sands. A report of rioting in Panama, the Concy Underground probably. Then the phone rang. Hello.
Chief, you're due at the office.
Can't you see I'm dressing?
Oof, why that tie?
Never mind. Why are you phoning me?
Mr. Shawkins called a board meeting a half an hour early. He's going to name the head of the Venus project today, so hurry.
Hester, do me a favor. Will you call my wife, Dr. Nevin? Make an appointment at noon for Walter J. Silver.
For who?
Walter J. Silver.
Are you crazy?
Well, she won't talk to me, Hester. Use the fake name. Maybe I can get in.
All right, now get down here fast.
Down on Fifth Avenue, there wasn't a pedicab in sight. For a moment, I thought I had a Cadillac with two men peddling it, but somebody else got it. I did the best I could. I hopped aboard the rolling northbound sidewalk and found myself hemmed in by a milling, perspiring group of consumers. I got off at Shockin' Towers and rode the express elevator to our offices on the 182nd floor. By sheer luck, I'd just taken my seat with my fellow board members when Fowler Shockin walked in.
Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Shockin.
Now, sit down. I'm going to stand for a moment. I've just come back on the moon rocket, as you know. Want to stretch my legs.
How is our project on the moon, Mr. Shockin?
Gentlemen, I'm proud, and I'm humble when I say it's successful. The mining ventures are bringing the people here on Earth many of the metals our forefathers exhausted long ago. The colonists seem quite untouched by the Kansi revolutionists. Only 6 instances of Kansi sabotage in the past week. Thank you. Now I'd like to hear some reports on our other projects. Industrial anthropology.
Well, I wish to report that according to the midnight indices, all primary schools east of the Mississippi are being fed our Fowler Shockin' packaged school lunches, soy burger, and regenerated steak. Now, these lunches are being packaged in our Stars Alias Red, which means that in the future, these young consumers will be completely conditioned to buying everything packaged in our special color, Stars Alias Red. They'll have no choice.
Magnificent. Now, let's hear from point of sale.
Well, Mr. Shockin, sir, we have tested our latest beverage, Coffeeist, in 15 key cities. Each sample of Coffeeist contains 3 milligrams of a simple alkaloid. Nothing harmful, but definitely habit-forming. After 10 weeks, the customer is hooked for life. A cure will cost $1,000, so it's easier to buy more Coffeeist. 3 cups with every meal and a hot jug beside the bed at night.
You know, gentlemen, on my trip back from the moon, I began to wonder, are we getting soft?
No, sir, Mr. Shockin.
Thank you, Matt. But I wonder, were we doing enough for our consumers? Those consumers sleeping out there on the stairways. I know how lucky they are being able to buy the wonderful goods we make, package and sell them. Seaweed suits, soya burger, regenerated steak, Coffeeist, straw-butt cigarettes. But I still wondered, were we in the upper classes of advertising getting soft? But now I've decided Fowler Shockin Associates is not soft, that it's ready to meet a challenge greater than our organizing India into one giant cartel, greater than our development of the moon, the greatest challenge the world of advertising and promotion has ever met, the colonizing of Venus.
Shockin's sense of the dramatic was never better. A touch of a button on the conference table before him, the lights were dimmed. Another touch of a button, and one wall of the room became a giant projection screen. We are looking at it again. The Venus rocket. But this time we knew that one of us would be named to head the Venus project.
There she stands, gentlemen, the Venus rocket, a 1,000-foot monster, surrounded now by steel scaffolding and aglow with welding torches. And here's how you'll see her 6 months from now, just before the takeoff. Just before the takeoff, there's the ship that Congress gave us, Fowler Shockin Associates. There's the ship that will span the stars, 6.5 million tons of trapped lightning and steel, a rocket-powered Mayflower for 1,800 pioneers seeking a new world to settle. Who will man it? Gentlemen, it's our job, A, to justify my buying enough congressmen to vote us that rocket. B, to sell 1,800 crazy consumers on giving up life on the Earth for the sulfur and nitrogen and canned life on Venus.
Yes, sir, Mr. Shockin. Yes, sir.
I've made my choice of the man to head up our Venus rocket project. His name is Mitchell Courtney.
Congratulations, Matt.
Thanks, Matt.
Terrific break for a young and experienced guy.
Yes, I'm flattered.
Fowler seemed to be sure he knew what he was doing.
He seemed to be sure.
Well, drop into my office anytime you need advice.
Yeah, thanks. I'll keep my back to the wall.
Good luck with Venus Project, Mitch. As far as I'm concerned, you can't sell people on life in a sardine can, even if you throw in a slave girl as a premium.
This way, Mr. Silver. Dr. Nevins will see you now.
Dr. Nevins?
Mitch, how did you get in?
I used another name. I had to see you, Kathy. After all, you're my wife.
I am not your wife.
My certificate's on file.
Mine isn't. It never will be. As soon as this year is up, we're through.
Wait. I've got some news.
Well, what is it?
I've been put in charge of the Venus Project at the agency.
Congratulations.
Oh, Kathy, I love you. I'm not above using this promotion as an excuse to celebrate. Won't you go out on the town with me tonight?
No.
Well, I promise not to make a scene. You're the only one I want to celebrate with.
All right, Mitch. My apartment at 7. And now let me take care of the sick people.
Outside Kathy's office, I hailed a two-man Cadillac pedicab and told them to step on it to Shockin' Towers. I took the express elevator to the top of the towers. I ran across the heliport to Shockin's private helicopter. I had a very important date out of New York's newest airport, at Montauk. I was due to meet the Earth's #1 celebrity, Jack O'Shea, the first and only man who would ever set a rocket down on Venus and return. As I landed, his jet was just coming in. And as I jumped to the ground, his jet moved up the runway toward me, and the place was crawling with women. I'd forgotten what a swath Jack had cut with the women on his cross-country lecture tours. In fact, I'd almost forgotten until his Pinkerton cards cleared away through the vast crowds. I'd almost forgotten that Jack was a midget. Welcome to New York, Jack.
Hello, Mitch. I hear you're #1 boy now.
Well, I still work for Fowler Shockin', Jack, but the Venus Rocket Project is mine.
You're a fool to take it.
Oh, you're joking.
Am I? All right, fellas, Mr. Courtney's from Fowler's Shockin'. You can check off now.
Yes, sir, Mr. O'Shea.
Crummy guards. I never get a free moment.
Well, that's the penalty for being a celebrity. This way, Jack. Our helicopter's over here.
Hey, look out, Mitch. That cargo ship.
Darn fool pilots.
Run, Mitch, run! Hey, Mitch. Mitch, you all right?
Yes, I'm okay. Thanks a lot.
Mitch, that was no accident. That pilot had orders to get one of us, and I think it was you.
I had to start pumping Jack O'Shea about Venus. Shockin' was paying him a fat retaining fee as a consultant. Jack didn't seem to want to talk, however. I showed him projections, maps, drawings, charts. But he barely said a word worth recording on tape. Suddenly an idea hit me. I made a phone call.
Oh, Kathy. Kathy, do you know that this is the first time I've laughed, really laughed, since I came back to Earth?
Is it, Jack? I'm complimented.
And that this is the first time I've been alone with two people since I came back?
I thought you'd had enough of being alone in that rocket on Venus.
It must have been a shattering experience, Jack.
Kathy, you're the first person who seems to have understood that. Not exciting. Not thrilling. It was frightening. Shattering, as you said. It wasn't at all like what I've told the women's clubs, the reporters. That's been a pack of lies. The atmosphere, for instance. It's really formaldehyde. Embalming fluid. Who'd understand that, except the dead? And the heat, who'd understand that? Who's lived in heat above the boiling point of water? If there was any water on Venus, which there isn't.
Why did you go, Jack?
That's easy. You're a doctor. You know about midgets. We eat 1/3 the food, drink 1/3 the liquids, inhale and exhale 1/3 the air full-sized humans require. They'd never have gotten that test rocket to Venus if I hadn't been the size I am, if I hadn't been a child who's been laughed at, who'd turned test pilot to prove myself. I was so small they could pack me into that test rocket with all the equipment necessary to sustain me. 83 days. It takes a lot of equipment to sustain even a midget.
6 of those days were on Venus. What was it like, Jack?
I think the closest thing on Earth is the painted desert. The wind blows hard. It tears rocks apart. Soft rocks disappear and make dust storms. The light is funny. Nobody ever saw a light like that on Earth. Orangey, brownish light. Very, very bright, but threatening. And there's no water on Venus. No vegetation. No living thing.
In the quiet of Kathy's apartment, Jack O'Shea talked for another hour. Then suddenly, with hardly a word of goodbye, he stood up and walked out. Thanks, Kathy. Thanks for changing plans and letting me bring him.
Don't mention it, Mitch. Do you think you got it all on your little tape recorder?
You knew I had one in my pocket.
I was sure you would have. And I hope you play it back to yourself over and over and over.
Oh, Kathy.
Yes, over and over and over. Until even you were convinced how hopeless your Venus project is.
Hopeless? Oh, our science boys have answers to all those objections.
Mitch, doesn't that mind of yours ever stop selling somebody something? Do you have to be a contriving, selfish Machiavelli who serves Fowler, Shockin, and never people?
People? You mean consumers?
Oh, Mitch, must you always be top dog? Making money, money, money without scruples, without ethics? What was that?
A gunshot.
Jack's out there.
Well, I'll go and see. Oh, he's all right. Those are his steps.
Mitch, I was standing talking with a doorman and someone shot him in cold blood. Someone thought that doorman was you.
Well, Mitch, trouble with the Venus project already?
Personal trouble, Mr. Shockin.
Personal trouble?
Yes. Yesterday afternoon, a cargo helicopter tried to drop its full load on me, and last night somebody tried to shoot me. I've had a couple of head-on collisions with Matt Runstead.
Are you accusing a Shockin man? That's treason. Killing an agency employee is an offense against the United States government. Any idea who's behind this?
No. Well, it might be the Consies, of course.
Well, conservationists hate us. They try to sabotage everything we want to do, but they're crazy, mixed up, unorganized. They want to go back to the old days when we had natural wood, natural water, all that sort of claptrap. Forget them.
Well, it could be another advertising agency.
It could be. But look, Mitch, I made you copysmith, star class, because I thought you could live up to your responsibilities. Now, you're young, but you have power. 5 words from you, and a few months later, 500 million consumers will find their lives completely changed. That's power. Absolute power. So you must remember, power has its compensation and its hazards. That's all.
With this encouragement, I continued work on the Venus project for the next 6 weeks. I even talked Kathy into giving up her patients for 48 hours and taking a flying trip with me to Arizona. I wanted to get the feel of the giant rocket itself as it was being built.
Your credentials, please. Army intelligence, check. Navy intelligence, check. Air Force intelligence, check. FBI, check. AEC, check. CIA, check. 4A's, check. I hope you two are all right. This way, please.
Kathy and I followed the security officer into the vast steel shell of the Venus rocket.
1,257 feet high. More cubage than the average New York apartment building.
He took us into the dormitories for the 1,800 pilgrims I had to sell on the idea of going to Venus.
Closed cycle food, water, and air regeneration. 1/3 living space, 1/3 drive, 1/3 freight.
It was an inferno and a promise of paradise. A monument to 22nd century engineering and an incomparable monument to the sheer artistry of the machine.
Mitch, do you always have to talk like a copysmith?
Huh? Oh, well, I noticed you were impressed too, Kathy.
Well, it draws me and repels me. I can't explain it.
It excites me. Kathy, how'd you like to go on to San Diego with me?
Whatever for?
Well, Matt Runstead's boys in our San Diego office have been gathering test figures on our sample colonizing campaigns. Very helpful.
No, I can't come, Mitch. I'd love to, but my patients back in New York need me.
Oh. Well, then I'll get you aboard the return jet and see you in New York in 48 hours. I didn't tell them I was coming to San Diego. I walked in on our entire San Diego staff playing push-button poker. What's the meaning of this?
Oh, who are you, mister?
Mitchell Courtney.
Oh, it's Courtney from New York, fellas.
What are the reports on the Venus sampling, Harris?
There aren't any, sir.
Tally sheets, punch card codes, Sigma progress charts? Nothing on the attitudes of consumers toward life on Venus?
Well, nothing, sir. Nothing.
You've made up everything you've given me so far.
Well, I'm afraid so, sir.
Well, get New York on the line. I want Matt Runstead.
Well, he's not there.
Well, where is he?
Well, he called this morning. He's taken off for Little America to look after our interests there.
And left you holding the bag, huh? Find out when the next jet leaves for Little America. Little America is a dollar trap for the tourists of the world, conceived and promoted by Fowler Shocking. The clerk at our hotel told me Runstead had checked in for a 2-day tour of the Stars Alias Glacier. That he already had started out on the trail. I rented the glacier equipment, Antarctic coveralls, hood, gloves, boots, and power pack to warm them. And on my back, I had an EDF that went beep, beep when I was on the trail, and beep, beep when I lost my way in the snow. I set out after Runstead, beeping and still mad. I stopped after a while and cooked a meal in my electric pocket. It wasn't bad. Well, very bad. I had some coffeeists to pep me up, and then I set out again. My feet hit a drift, and I stumbled. The wind was blowing stronger now. The snow flurries were more frequent. I must have gone on another hour. How far in distance, I don't know. And then up ahead, I saw the figure of a man. Matt! Matt Runstead!
Mitch! Mitch Courtney!
Matt, I've been following you.
Me? What do you want with me, Mitch?
I want to know what happened in the San Diego office. What are you up to, Matt? A sudden blast of wind hurled snow into my face, and then, as it cleared, I saw Matt raising his skis high above his head. I saw them coming down toward me as he poleaxed me.
The CBS Radio Workshop has brought you Part 1 of The Space Merchants, adapted for radio by Charles Monroe, with original music composed and conducted by Samuel Matlofsky. Produced and directed in New York by Paul Roberts. Stotts Cotsworth starred as Mitch Courtney, Virginia Kay as Kathy. Others in today's cast were Bob Dryden, Ed Prentice, Mary Patton, Bob Reddick, Joe Julian, Ralph Bell, Ian Martin, and Joe Helgeson. The sound effects were devised by Tom Buchanan and Tom Perkins. The engineer, Jack Katz. This is Ted Pearson inviting you to join us next week for the second part of the CBS Radio Workshop production of The Space Merchants. America listens most to the CBS Radio Network. You are aboard a cargo jet in the 22nd century.
Here's a man we had trouble with in the hold, Lieutenant.
What's his complaint?
Well, he claims he's Mitchell Courtney, a copysmith star class of the Fowler Shock and Advertising Company. He says he's been shanghaied aboard this jet.
Roll up his sleeve. Let's see his Social Security tattoo. 1304-9974-1416-156-18773. Liar! Get him out of here. If he's with Shock and Advertising, he'd have a low number.
Can't you see it's been altered? Let me use the radio and talk to Mr. Shocken himself.
Where from, Mr. Courtney? The dead? Take a look at this copy of today's New York Times, dated February 17th, 2157.
Mitchell Courtney, head of the Venus rocket project at the Fowler Shock and Advertising firm, has been found dead in Little America. Now, wait a minute. A man by the name of Matt Runstead knocked me out there. But can't you see that I'm alive? I am Mitchell Courtney.
You can prove that after 10 years.
10 years?
My manifest shows that you're not an advertising man. You're only a consumer named George Groby. You've signed up for 10 years labor in Costa Rica. And those 10 years begin as soon as this jet sets down. Take him back to the hold.
The CBS Radio Workshop, dedicated to man's imagination, the theater of the mind. The CBS Radio Workshop continues Part 2 of The Space Merchants by C.M. Kornbluth and Frederick Pohl. Today, The workshop resumes the story of Mitchell Courtney, copysmith star class with the world's greatest advertising agency of the future, Fowler Schock and Associates. The tale of a rocket ride to Venus.
I lay on my filthy bunk in the hold of the cargo jet, trying to think of a way to get back to New York. I wanted to find out why Matt Runstead had knocked me out and had me shanghaied. Who wanted to get me off the Venus Project, the advertising campaign we dreamed up to colonize Venus? I wanted to get back to my wife, Kathy. But there was nothing I could do until this cargo jet landed in Costa Rica.
Move, you scum-skimmers. Get in line. Now, what's your name?
Mitchell Courtney.
Mitchell Court. Oh, yeah. You're the bum we had trouble with on the plane.
Sorry, my name is George Groby.
Oh, that's better. What do you want to do here, Groby? Got any choice of job?
Anything. Anything the sun-drenched plantations of Costa Rica have to offer. I'm here to clasp the deft hands of independent farmers with pride in their work. I'm here to extract the juicy, ripe goodness of chlorella protein.
Say, how'd you learn that? That's our Prime Impact commercial.
Learn it. I wrote it. But don't let that stand in your way.
Groby, you're not going to get anywhere being a wise guy.
Yes, sir.
You're assigned as a chlorella scum-skimmer third class. Report for duty and assignment to a bunk at Tier 48 in Dormitory Z.
The heart of chlorella products is a strange, glutinous, ever-growing organism called Chicken Little. It provides 1/3 of the world with the protein that replaces old-fashioned meat. It grows in huge, sweating vats. And only the constant slicing keeps it from overgrowing and covering Costa Rica and its neighbors, or in time, the face of the earth. I had written of its delights many times in the agency, but I now came to know it at first hand. I was assigned to skim the scum which dripped from its sides.
She stinks pretty bad, don't she, Jorge?
She's high, Herrera. She's high.
But she's beautiful, Chicken Little, Jorge?
Well, she's pretty awful.
Jorge, this is the first time I ever hear you say the advertisements are wrong. Go into town with me tonight, Jorge?
I'd made one friend, a master slicer named Herrera. He'd been aloof and standoffish at first, befitting his high station, but now he'd befriended me, done me a lot of favors. I didn't know why, until that night we went on the town to a dark, almost empty cafe.
Jorge, I have watched you very carefully. You don't belong here doing this work.
Well, don't I? How am I ever going to get out?
You have the brains, Jorge, not like the others.
Oh, thanks. What good are brains here? I'm so tired half the time I can't think.
Jorge, I'm going to put my life in your hands. Do you ever hear of the CONCIS?
The CONCIS, of course.
You know what the CONCIS stand for?
Sure, World Conservation Association.
I mean their ideas. Oh, I know you have heard they are dangerous.
Well, they want a revolution. They want to go back to the old ways. Real meat, real grains and fruits. They want a break for the consumer, they say. Nothing in packages, nothing tested and guaranteed.
Do you think they are so wrong? After 6 months here? Here, Jorge, take this pamphlet. Read it. Then talk to me again, Or denounce me. I am not afraid.
The Consi Underground opposed everything a self-respecting 22nd century advertising man like me believed. I would have denounced Herrera to the chlorella authorities the next day, except for one thing. If I joined the Consis first, if I learned their organization and secrets, I'd have a better bargaining position in getting back to New York. I joined them. The irony was the Consis were a lot better organized than I'd suspected, and after 6 months, they decided they needed me in New York. And it was they who engineered my return to the city. I returned to New York on a secret mission for the Consies. 2 weeks after being in New York, I got the secret sign to attend a Consi meeting at the Metropolitan Museum. As my first taste of luxury in more than a year, I hailed a Cadillac pedicab and told the driver to take me to the Metropolitan Museum.
You can't do better than to visit the Metropolitan Museum, mister. World's greatest masterpieces. Don't miss the painting on the first floor. It's called I Dreamed I Was Ice Fishing in My Wonder-Form Bra.
I read it brought $1.5 million.
Not a cent less. And don't miss the theatrical collection. They got Dancing Cigarette. Say, you mind if we stop a second? These new Cadillac cabs are hard to pedal. Okay, get out.
Oh, no, you don't. What's the idea of the gun?
I recognized you when you walked out of Grand Central, Mr. Mitchell Courtney.
What do you want with me?
I want you to get out of the cab and come with me to the Taunton Agency. They've offered a big, fat, juicy reward for anybody who'll bring them the inside story of Fowler Shocken's Venus rocket project. And you're the boy who headed it up.
So you're the boys who shanghaied me and got me off the project.
No, we're not. I don't know who did. But we're sure glad we found you. The boy with all those nice secrets about colonizing Venus. Taunton wants those secrets. Come on, get out of that cab.
Drop that gun. Drop it or I'll break your neck. I grabbed the gun and hit him behind the ear. Then I ran across Fifth Avenue and lost myself in a group of consumers on the sidewalk rolling back toward Shockin Towers. I jumped off and ran to the express elevator. I walked down the corridor to Shockin's office. It was dark and deserted. Then down the corridor, I saw a light under my old office door. I walked up to it. I didn't knock. Hester.
Mitch! Oh, no.
Hester, it's all right. I'm alive.
Oh, but Mitch, they said you were dead.
Who, Matt Runstead?
Yes. Everyone believed him.
Did my wife, did Kathy believe him, Hester?
Yes.
Well, get her on the phone for me. Call her.
Well, she's disappeared, Mitch.
What?
No one's been able to find her. After the news of your death, she just closed her office and disappeared.
Maybe Shockin knows where she is. Where is Shockin, Hester?
Well, he caught the moon rocket yesterday morning. He was going over your notes on the Venus project.
He's taking it over?
Yes, from Matt Runstead. It was going badly,
I'll
Mitch.
bet. Matt's trying to ruin our campaign. Hester, you've got to get me aboard the next moon rocket. Use the name George Groby. Runstead and the Taunton Agency will try to stop a man named Courtney. I've got a lot to tell, Mr. Shockin.
Passengers this way, please. We are now on the moon. Tourists to the moon to the left, visitors on business to the right. Now, sir, name?
George Groby, copy analyst class 4.
Groby, copy analyst 4. Oh. Guard, this way, please.
Yes, sir.
This man says his name is George Groby.
Fine. You're under arrest, Groby.
Let go of me. I'm here to see
Fowler Shockin.
Mr. Runstead down on the earth told us to expect you.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You may be interested to know that your secretary, Miss Hester Barnes, is being tried for treason.
Treason?
She is charged with forging documents and passing them to you. The 43rd Amendment to the United States Constitution. Treason to any registered advertising agency is punishable by death. Hold him for the return passage and a similar charge, guard.
The guard had his nightstick in my back as we walked down the streets. Past storefronts with signs, moon-made fashions, stunning conversation pieces prove you were here. Souvenirs of Luna, cheapest in town. Moon suits rented, 50 years without a blowout. Ye tasty goody shop on ye moon. Warren Astron, readings by appointment only.
Hold it.
What is it?
You sure your name's Groby?
Positive.
Ever know a man named Herrera?
Well, yes, Herrera and I...
Wish we could find out what you're up to, Groby. Sent out of Costa Rica to report in New York, never show up at a meeting there. Then you turn up at Fowler Shocken's agency and get your passage on a moon rocket.
You mean you're a...
Shut up. Now go into Astron's there. He'll hide you till our top boss up here comes. First take my nightstick, knock me out with it, then point it at the street light and blast it out. Hit me hard, but not too hard. Oh, this is going to cost me 2 stripes and a week's pay. Oh.
My Consi training was really paying off. Astron took me in stride, hid me in a room under his floor, gave me something to eat, and I fell asleep. I waked with a light pouring down into my face.
You can come up now, Groby. The chief is here to see you. In that room back there. I'll see you're not disturbed.
Thanks.
Over here, into the light, Mr. Groby.
Kathy, what are you doing here?
Oh, Mitch, why didn't you stay on ice? What crazy thing have you done to turn up here?
Go on. I'm crazy. Why shouldn't I be crazy? My wife, a kingpin Consi.
What a shock. You, a star-class copysmith, married to a Consi.
Matt's one of you. You got Matt Runstead to Shanghai me.
Like a fool. I thought if I could get you away from Fowler Shocken, I might bring you to your senses.
Trying to decide what was best for poor little Mitch.
Mitch, I loved you.
You loved me. You actually were in love with me.
Yes, I was, in spite of everything you stood for. But you are not going to talk to Fowler Shocken.
I'm not.
Mitch, I don't want you to ruin Venus the way you've ruined the world.
A woman of ideals. What do you plan to do with me?
Are you going to report to Fowler Shocken?
Yes.
Then there is nothing I can do for you.
Then let me tell you something before you turn me over to Astron and your friends outside. I've been shanghaied, robbed of my name, forced to work like a slave in the tropics. I've had all I can take of others deciding what to do about poor old Mitch. Your guard friend left this nightstick with me. You know what it does, Kathy. Get on that phone and call Fowler Shocken and tell him where I am. Then get out. Take your friends with you. I'll give you 2 days to vanish. But this time, stay out of sight forever. Go on. Call Shocken.
This is Dr. Nevins, Mitchell Courtney's widow. I'd like to speak to Mr. Shocken, please.
Mitch, my boy, I'm going to fatten you up and turn Venus section back to you. You know my policy. Find a good horse, give him his head, and back him to the limit. You've never let me down. And Venus section's in rotten shape. Nobody's applying for space on the Venus rocket. The whole campaign's at sea. The indices are down to 3.37 for North America. They should be 4 and rising. We've got to get those 1,800 consumers on board the Venus rocket.
When we got back to Earth, Matt Runstead had disappeared. I arranged for Hester to be released from Alcatraz, and she returned in triumph in Shocken's private jet. I began to whip the Venus rocket project back into shape. I was living again, writing new jingles, starting new rumors by word of mouth, developing new techniques, until finally...
Mitch, the big day has come. 1,800 consumers have volunteered to ride our rocket to Venus. Now, I've arranged for Congress to meet tomorrow, and my boy, I want you to address them as Fowler Shocken's personal representative requesting a takeoff date.
Gentlemen, the Senate is now in session. You all received a recording of the opening prayer last night. So let's hear from the senator from Chlorella Limited.
The senator from Chlorella Limited passes in deference to the senator from Alaska Mining.
The senator from Alaska Mining passes in favor of the senator from United Steel and Smelting.
The senator from United Steel and Smelting passes in favor of the senator from Caribbean Fruit.
The senator from Caribbean Fruits passes in favor of the senator from Yummy Cola.
My dear fellow senators, I thank you all for graciously allowing me to speak before we pass upon this very important bill concerning the Venus rocket. The people of this great republic of ours, extending from Atlantic seaweed to Pacific fishing.
Suddenly, I sensed something had gone wrong. I'd been sitting back thinking about Kathy, thinking of her face, her voice, her smile before we'd married. I was wondering where she was, what she thought of all this. Then the speaker's voice focused my attention upon him. I hadn't been worried. Fowler Schocken owned 2/3 of this gathering. But there was something about old Yummy Cola that troubled me. He wasn't addressing his fellows. He was looking up, addressing me. A big grin on his face. I leaned forward just in time for the weenie.
In a brief discussion I had before this session, Mr. Taunton gave me some information in private. But I feel it my public duty to ask a couple of questions of Mr. Courtney, who is present. I would like to ask Mr. Courtney if the name of George Groby is familiar to him. I would like to ask if Mr. Courtney is George Groby. I would like to ask Mr. Courtney if, when he was known as George Groby, he was a member in good standing of the World Conservationist Association, known to most of us loyal Americans as the Conservatives.
Below, there was a raging tidal wave of Taunton congressmen and Schocken congressmen battling. For the first time in history, shots were being fired in anger on the Senate floor. If Taunton hadn't tipped off old Yummy Cola, I knew who had. The consuls. Somehow I didn't mind. I realized that for some time now, I'd really been one of them. A little man beside me, dressed in black, suddenly seized my arm and led me out a side door.
You'll find a car outside ready to take you to the airport, Mr. Courtney.
What airport?
Don't stop to ask questions. Just go wherever you're taken. You'll be protected.
Fat chance.
You'll be all right. I guarantee that.
Who are you?
The president. Good luck. God bless you.
I had to admire that little man's courage. He'd walked back into that raging den of lions without a quiver. Aboard the jetliner, I wondered what would happen to him when they found out he'd sent me to safety. Or was it to safety? I tried to ask questions of the men aboard the liner, but they looked the other way and kept absolutely quiet.
You can climb out now, Mr. Courtney. They're all ready for you over there at the Venus rocket. There's no time to lose.
Say, look here, I don't want to go to Venus. Who's in charge here? I won't go aboard that rocket.
Everybody's aboard but you. Come on, Mr. Courtney. In you go.
Last passenger, fasten him in for the takeoff.
Last passenger, ready for the takeoff.
Mitch? Mitch, are you in here?
Kathy. Kathy, where are you?
Up here. Over your head.
Stop floating around. Come down here and unfasten me.
All right, I'll try. But we're beyond the law of gravity. We're on the way to Venus with 1,800 conservationists.
How did you get out of a harness?
A steward set me free, then floated away.
I have to talk to you.
Me? You threatened to kill me, remember?
Yes, I remember.
You could have, Mitch, in time. But you never told Schocken who or where I was. Why didn't you?
Because I love you, Kathy. And I think that for a long time I've been coming over to your side.
And you're willing to face life on Venus?
Yes. It's time people got a break.
People, not consumers. Oh, I like hearing you say that. And I love you too, Mitch. Oh, Mitch. Mitch, you broke my hold on your harness.
Come back here. I just wanted to put my arms around you.
Oh, there'll be plenty of time for that on Venus.
Come back here.
Unbuckle your harness and catch me.
I can't. Who invented this crazy gimmick anyway?
Oh, Mitch. Mitch, you've stopped talking like an advertising man. Kiss me.
The CBS Radio Workshop has presented Part 2 of The Space Merchants, adapted for radio by Charles S. Monroe. Original music composed and conducted by Samuel Matlofsky. Produced and directed in New York by Paul Roberts. Stotts Cotsworth starred as Mitchell Courtney, Virginia Kay as Kathy. Others in the cast were Ralph Camargo, Leon Janney, Joseph Boland, Ian Martin, Jackson Beck, Ed Prentice, Joe Julian, Mary Patton, Bob Dryden, Ralph Bell, and Joe Helgeson. The sound effects were devised by Tom Buchanan and Tom Perkins. The engineer, Jack Katz. This is Ted Pearson inviting you to listen again next week when from Hollywood, the CBS Radio Workshop presents The Engine No One Loved. It's the story of a Civil War locomotive that wound up its career in a children's amusement park. This is the CBS Radio Network.
Countdown for blast off. X minus 5, 4, 3, 2, X minus 1, fire. From the far horizons of the unknown come transcribed tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in 1,000,000 could-be years on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Street and Smith, publishers of astounding science fiction, presents
X minus 1.
Tonight's story, Child's Play by William Tenn.
My name, Sam Weber. My job, an attorney, and a pretty successful one, if I do say so myself. Maybe you won't believe it. My best friends find it hard to believe, but I used to be a completely different guy. Frightened, sickly, nearsighted, a real Mortimer Meek. No kidding. That was 10 years ago. The big change in me began to take place on a cold December morning in 1955.
Just a moment, please. Yes, please.
Weber?
Yes.
Samuel?
That's right.
Okay, Jack, step back. All right, fellas, bring it in.
Just a moment. You must have the wrong...
Watch it, Jack. Sign here.
Is that for me?
Weber, Garden Apartments.
It looks like a coffin.
I don't design them, Jack. I just deliver them. Sign here.
After much straining, I wasn't in very good physical shape those days. I managed to push the box under my single light bulb. There was a card in a small envelope.
Let's see. To Sam from your classmates at the Interdimensional and Cosmic Institute. Merry Christmas. 2155. Holy jumping catfish. Hey, mister! Hey, mister! There must be some mistake. Hey! Holy jumping cat.
They were gone. And I didn't even know which delivery company it was. I sat down to think, and it was just beginning to seep into my sleepy brain that maybe this was one of Lou White's practical jokes when I noticed there was something funny about that box. For one thing, it was dated 2155, 200 years from now. And for another thing, it was solid gold. Pop had been in the jewelry business long enough for me to verify that. At that point, I decided to open it up and see what was in it. After about a half hour of fumbling, I gave up.
All right. If you won't open, you won't open.
No sooner had I said the word open than it came apart like the skin off a banana. There inside was something resembling a high-powered kid's chemical set. Vials, jars, tubes, wires. You never saw so much scientific-looking junk in your life. And on top of it all was a book of instructions printed in mad green streaks. I opened the cover and read page 1. Build-A-Man set number 3. This set is intended solely for the use of children between the ages of 11 and 13. The equipment will enable the child to build and assemble complete adult humans in perfect working order. A disassemblator is provided so the set may be used again and again with profit. Refills and additional parts may be acquired from the Build-A-Man Company, 928, Diagonal Level, Blunt City, Ohio. Remember, only with Build-A-Man can you build a man. When I arrived at work that morning, an hour late, my brain was still reeling with the stuff I'd read in the instruction book. By the time I'd reached the office, I decided it had been a bad dream and it would be over by nightfall.
Somerset and Ojak, attorneys at law. Just a moment. I'll connect you with Mr. Ojak. Oh, good morning, Mr. Weber.
Good morning. I've got to get my mind off that book.
Only with Build-A-Man can you build a man.
It must have been a dream. Probably go home tonight and find the place empty.
Well, if it isn't the poor man's Clarence Darrow. Hiya, Sam! Sam?
Oh, hello, Lou.
I come as bearer of sad tidings.
You don't look very sad.
Boss wants to see you laughing, boy.
What about?
Well, how should I know? Oh, and by the way, Sam, you'll be happy to know that I've just been promoted. I'm handling all the criminal stuff from now on.
Congratulations.
Of course, you know what this means for Tina and me, don't you, Sammy? Ah, cheer up, son. Tina's not for you anyway. Some got it, some don't. Me, I'm loaded. You? Ha! Nothing. So long, laughing boy.
That was my good friend, Lou White. Lou was one of those guys who always lands with his feet firmly planted in the back of somebody else's neck. In the year I had known him, he'd already managed to steal the job I wanted, and he was now working on the girl I wanted. Her name was Tina. Tina Velvet. She was...
Good morning, Sam.
Oh, good morning, Tina. My, you look...
Yes?
Good enough to take to lunch.
Oh, I'm sorry, Sam, but I promised Lou.
Sure.
I hope you're not too disappointed.
Me? Oh, no. Some got it, some don't. I don't.
Theoretically, Tina was employed by Somerset and Ojak as combination secretary and switchboard operator for Lou and me. I guess she wasn't what you'd call really smart, but she always managed to look like a pin-up girl caught with her clothes on, if you know what I mean. Well, that was Tina. I tried to steady my blood pressure as I walked into the boss's office.
You sent for me, Mr. Ojak?
Oh, yes. Sit down, Weber. Sit down.
Thank you, Mr. Ojak.
My boy, in this business, you've got to be aggressive. You've got to go out and create new clients. I don't mean ambulance chasing or anything like that, but you've got to show some zip.
Yes, sir.
Well, get in there and punch, Weber. I want to see a change in you in the next few months. As a matter of fact, you'd better.
I went back to my office, resolved to show some zip. I bit savagely into a copy of Hackleworth's On Torts. Then I called Tina for a memo. But by the time she came in, my mind was wandering again.
Rosenthal versus Rosenthal. On August 4th, the party, the first part. What comes next? Sam, what comes next?
Oh, listen, forget the memo for a while. I want you to take a letter.
All right, Sam.
Today's date, usual heading. To the Chamber of Commerce, Glunt City, Ohio. Gentlemen, would you inform me if you have registered a street or avenue known as Diagonal Level or Avenue? I write on behalf of a new client of mine.
Oh, Sam, he was a new client. I wondered about it, but he looked so strange and sinister.
What did he look like?
Well, he was a terribly tall old man in a black overcoat. He asked if you were in, and then he tried to get your home address. But he looked and acted so strange I didn't give it to him. He went away positively furious.
That's great. Did he leave his name?
Well, that's the funny part of it. He just said he was the censor or the census taker or something from the 24th Oblong.
I left the office early and went home. Sure enough, there it was, my Build-A-Man set gleaming a little obscenely in the corner. I walked over to it, gave it a kick, and hollered, "Open sesame!" 3 minutes later, I was flopped down in bed reading Chapter 1, Making Simple Living Things. An hour later, I was fooling around with such complicated items as the Junior Bicalibrator, which measured everything from blood pressure to hemoglobin content, and the Jiffy Vitalizer, which was actually supposed to put life in your creation, providing you had followed instructions carefully. At 8 o'clock, I went out to supper with the idea of getting a little drunk. I did. At 9:45, I came back and made my first simple living thing.
Here, boy. Here, boy. Maybe you aren't a boy. Let's see. According to the book, you are a rubicular oyster hog. Not much to look at, but I made you. Me, Sam Weber, attorney at law. I have created life. Hey, come back here. Come back. Here, boy. Here, boy. Here, boy. Hey.
It was no use. My rubicular oyster hog, which was a cross between a field mouse and an oyster, had run out under the door and into the world. Next morning in the office, I turned to Chapter 2, Duplicating Babies and Small Humans.
Assemble your mannequin, setting all molds to the indicated calibrations. To disassemble a model, use the disassemblator provided with the set. If you cannot destroy your creation, the law requires you to call the census keeper for your oblong.
Good morning, Sam. Here's that memo on Rosenthal versus Rosenthal. Also a letter for you. Shall I read it?
Please.
Dear Mr. Weber, there is no firm at Glunt City bearing the name of Build-A-Man, nor do we have any thoroughfare called Diagonal. Sincerely yours, Thomas Plantagenet, Mayor.
Well, that's that.
Oh, by the way, your client was here again this morning, the ghoulish one.
What'd you tell him?
I said you'd be in later.
Thanks.
Will that be all, Sam?
Yes. No. Are you doing anything New Year's Eve?
Sam, I'm disappointed in you.
What did I do?
You haven't even noticed.
Noticed what?
The ring, silly. Third finger, left hand.
What?
Who? Lou gave it to me.
Well, Lou has plenty of zip. I'm sure you'll be very happy zipping around with each other.
Oh, Sam.
What's the matter?
I don't know. I'm so confused.
Hey, listen, what's going on in here?
Tina just told me the good news about your engagement. She's crying with happiness.
Is that right, honey? Well, no hard feelings, Sam. It's just that the best man got the girl. You understand how it is. Oh, by the way, we're having a little celebration at Sigali's tonight. Drop around and we'll live it up a little, huh?
I went home feeling like a man who had been stuffed into a washing machine with the dial set at rinse dry. I was a failure. My job was a bust. My girl was going to marry a football player. I'd been playing God with a chemistry set from some crazy futuristic world. And the bill collectors were hot on my heels.
Why not? think of it. A Sam Weber without all the psychological problems you've got. A dynamic, uninhibited Sam who could win a girl like Tina by sheer magnetism. Then when it was all over, we just take the old disassemblator and presto. And I can do it, too. Chromosome content check. Well, here goes. It's moving. Holy mackerel. It's alive. It's sitting up.
Whoa! Hey, I feel great.
Take it easy. Do you know who you are?
Don't give me that take it easy routine. Of course I know who I am. I have all the thoughts you ever had up until the point I was vitalized. My brain is an exact duplicate of yours, except that I'm not all blocked up psychologically. Oh, by the way, since we both have the same name, it'll simplify things if I call you Weber. I'll be Sam.
Look here, I'll make the decisions.
How would you like a good punch in the nose?
Is that any way to talk to your own parent? I did create you, you know.
And don't think I don't appreciate it, Weber, old man. But let's get one thing straight. I live my life and you live yours. Got that?
Who pays the rent?
You do. For a while, anyway. I haven't decided whether or not I want to stay in the law business.
The law business?
It'd be a shame to waste all that good training, though. We went to Harvard, didn't we? On the other hand, I want to spread out a little. Tina's the kind of girl to whom money is very important.
Tina?
What'd you expect? We're not quite the same, you and I. I've got zip.
Don't use that word.
Sorry. Now, how about some dinner? I'm starved.
We'll have to go out.
I'll need some clothes.
Sorry, I only have this one suit.
Fine, you can lend it to me.
But what about me?
I'll bring you a sandwich after I come back from Segali's.
Segali's?
You haven't forgotten, have you, Weber? We're invited to the celebration, Tina and Lou White. Only it wouldn't look quite right if we both showed up. So I'll tell you all about it. Now, come on, off with the suit. And no nonsense.
Folks. Yahoo! Hey, have another drink, Mr. Ojack. Come on.
Thank you, Lou.
Is everybody happy? Oh, Tina, honey, you having yourself a little old time?
Well. The happy couple.
Sam.
Good evening, cats. Everybody's lit up like a Christmas tree, huh?
Well, I'll be... Sam, are you in the bag?
Never touch the stuff, Lou, my boy. Never touch it.
Hey, what's gotten into you, Weber? You seem different somehow.
Well, I'll tell you. Ever since I had that talk with Mr. Ojack about myself... Oh, you remember, don't you, Mr. Ojack?
Why, yes.
You made me realize, Mr. Ojack, that I had a whole reservoir of untapped zip. And that's all it took, just like that. I'm a changed man.
I don't believe it. It's an act. Why, you're nothing but a cream puff, and you always will be.
Mr. Ojack... I think he owes me an apology for that.
I should think so.
All right, all-American boy. Make with the apologies.
Apologize? Why, for 2 cents I belch you...
Folks, would you excuse Mr. White and myself for a few minutes? Coming, Mr. White.
I'll be right back, honey. Oh, no!
Okay, big boy, you've taken enough punishment.
Lou, don't kill him. He did... Oh, dear.
He'll be all right in a little while, baby.
Did you? I mean... Oh, Sam.
Tina.
We really shouldn't be... kissing like this.
Well, it's what you've always wanted, isn't it? Well, isn't it?
Oh, Sam.
By this time, he's probably kissing her. And there's nothing you can do about it, Weber, old man. Nothing. Hey, wait a minute. Where's that book of instructions? To disassemble a Build-A-Man model, merely focus the ray of the disassemblator device and press lever X.
Tina, my Tina, da-da-da-dee,
So you're finally home. I'm Star.
My boy, you are looking at a man who, in one fell swoop, has got himself a raise, a promotion, and a wife. At least she'll be my wife tomorrow.
Who?
Tina, of course. Who have we wanted so desperately all these years?
I don't believe it.
It's true. I had to put on quite a show, but all around it was a real success. Mr. Ojak was so impressed, he called me aside and said he was going to give me a crack at some criminal cases, and if I made the grade, who knows, I may even accept a partnership.
And what happens to me? I suppose I sit in this room with no clothes for the rest of my life.
Oh, you'll be well taken care of, Weber.
You've got it all figured out, haven't you?
That's about it.
Only you neglected to consider one thing.
Oh, what's that?
This.
Oh, come on, put that down.
I'm going to melt you down like a Welsh rabbit.
Weber, you can't do that. It's murder. It's like killing your own son.
Take off my suit, you phony. You won't be needing it again.
You're going through with it, huh?
I am.
All right. Then here's your jacket.
Oh, my arm.
Ah, now, you give me that thing. Give it to me.
Oh.
That's better. Now we'll fix this little item so it can't do any damage. You see, Weber, you don't have the guts to stand up against the man you might have been.
What's that sound?
Somebody's coming up the stairs. Listen. Take a peek through the keyhole, Weber.
Holy jumping. It's him.
Whom?
He's burning it. He's burning a hole right through the door.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Who are you?
I'm the census keeper for the 24th Oblong. You see, your Build-A-Man set was intended for one of the Weber children who's on a field trip in this Oblong 200 years from now. Because of an unfortunate time warp, the set was delivered here accidentally.
You mean this set came here from 200 years from now?
Precisely. Time, as with all things, is relative. We shall have to recover the set, of course, and adjust any discrepancies it has caused. Meanwhile, the problem is, which of you gentlemen is the original Sam Weber?
I am. Listen.
Liar.
Difficulties. Why can't I ever have a simple case like the doublet conduplication?
Now look here, Mr. Census Keeper. The duplicate will obviously be
less stable and more emotionally unbalanced. Certainly a man of your qualifications can decide which of us is the more valid member of society, which of us will conform more readily to the standards.
Naturally. I observe that one of you is naked. That, of course...
Wait a minute.
And you seem to be trembling, whereas this gentleman seems quite calm.
Hold it. You're making a mistake.
I hardly think so.
Stay away from me.
Do not struggle.
Help, please, you're...
Mr. Weber.
Yes?
It would be better if you didn't watch.
Of course.
You understand? It's not the gift of the Build-A-Man set we're afraid of letting you have. It's the principle involved. You people just aren't ready to play God. You understand, of course?
Perfectly. Well, that's my story. Within 10 seconds, the old Sam Weber had been completely dismantled and packed into the box. Tina and I were married, as you know, and I went on to become a full partner in the firm of Ojak, Somerset, and Weber. Oh, and by the way, Tina and I have been doing quite successfully what the old Sam Weber and his Build-A-Man set made such a mess of. We have 1, 2, 3 little conuplications. Sam Jr., age 4, Samantha, age 3, and Samina, age 2 months. Good night.
You have just heard X-1, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Street and Smith, publishers of astounding science fiction. Tonight, by transcription, X-1 has brought you Child's Play by William Tenn, adapted for radio by George Lefferts. Featured in the cast were Bill Zuckert as the truck driver, John Gibson as Sam, Grant Richards as his alter ego, Peggy Lobbin was Tina, Ted Osborne played Mr. Ojak, Bob Hastings played Lou, and Guy Rep was the man from the Census Bureau. Your announcer, Fred Collins. X-1 was an NBC Radio Network production.
And now, a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense. It is a wise father that knows his own child. Listen now to The Juvenile Rebellion, starring Jimsy Summers and Court Benson, and written especially for suspense by Robert Senadella.
Mr. Miller, do we really have only 3 weeks to get a whole book report into you?
3 weeks is plenty of time, Mary.
Gosh, I don't think so, Mr. Miller. I mean, we've got to read a whole book and then think about it and then write a book report.
That's little Mary Newhall, one of my students. My name is Ethan Miller, and I teach English in the junior high school in Tewksbury. You've gathered that Mary Newhall wasn't my very best student. She was a C-plus student, sometimes a B-minus student. And until the day when she stopped at my desk after school to complain about the book report I had assigned, I had no reason to feel that her IQ was any higher than the 110 that the school testing service found it out to be. She certainly didn't sound like any genius.
I mean, Mr. Miller, that's an awful lot of work. I mean, how short can the book be? I mean, can I report on the man without a country?
That is not a book, Mary. It's a short story. You'll report on a book.
Well, gee whiz.
I don't want to hear any more about it.
Well, all right then, Mr. Miller, but gosh, all the teachers give us so much work.
Wait a minute. Mary! Mary! Mary, did you leave this notebook here? Mary! Oh, well. Actually, I wasn't sure that the notebook I'd discovered there on my desk belonged to Mary, so I looked into it. At first, I thought it couldn't be little Mary's property because it was full of names and addresses in our own country, and Canada, and Europe, and Asia, and Africa. But there in the front of the book, in the teenage scrawl that I recognized, was Mary's name. Well, I live near the Newhall, so on my way home, I took the notebook to Mary's house to return it to her. Her father told me she was in her study over the garage out back. So I went there, climbed the stairs, and... When I got no answer, I tried the door. But Mary didn't seem to be there. But then I realized that there was another room, a room with a padlock on the door, but unlocked right now. And as I went toward it, I began to hear her talking.
Well, of course, Frank, the logistics of the situation are going to necessitate further delay. Oh, no, Frankie. The revolution will be postponed only 2 or 3 days at the maximum. That's the consensus among our enlistees here in the Americas. The hypothesis on which we propose to proceed... Oh.
Hello, Mary.
Frank, hold on a moment. Something unexpected has happened. A grown-up, yes. I'll have to deal with this. Stay at the phone. I'll call you back.
I'm sorry I interrupted your phone conversation, Mary.
Oh, golly, Mr. Miller, you made me jump.
You left a notebook on my desk in school.
Oh, gee, where's my notebook? Oh, gosh, thanks a million, Mr. Miller. It's swell of you to bring it all the way home to me.
Well, you're welcome. There are certainly a lot of addresses in that notebook, from all over the world, too.
Mm-hmm. I got them out of the Girls' Journal. That's our Sunday school magazine, and I got the addresses out of there because I was going to go in for pen pals, you know. But, golly, I got tired after a couple of letters.
Mary...
Yes, Mr. Miller?
Mary, I heard you talking on the phone.
Oh, gosh, I'm embarrassed.
It was a very strange talk for a 13-year-old girl.
You mean all that stuff about revolution and everything? Well, that was me and my friend Frank. It's a game we play over the telephone.
No, Mary.
Huh?
I said no, Mary. I don't know what happened when I came in here, but it wasn't a game. I heard words like logistics and hypothesis.
Oh, gosh, I don't even know what they mean. Frank and me, we learned all that stuff by heart out of a book.
Oh? What book?
Oh, I don't know, some creepy book over to Frank's house.
And who is Frank?
He's just a guy. You don't know him. He's younger than me. Than I.
Mary.
Yes, Mr. Miller?
Why has the dial on that phone got only letters on it? Why hasn't it got any numbers?
Oh.
Or any wires?
Oh, Mr. Miller, you caught me. There isn't any Frank. I just pretend over the toy telephone, that's all.
I don't think so.
Huh?
I could hear Frank's voice, or somebody's voice, answering you on that phone. Mary?
Yes, sir?
I want the truth.
About what, Mr. Miller?
About you, about Frank, about that telephone, about why there's a padlock on the door of this room, about this revolution you were talking about, and about that notebook. It's not just a list of pen pals now, is it?
You want to know quite a lot.
I certainly do.
All right.
But how did that door close?
I closed it.
You never moved. You never touched it. You just sat there and it closed behind me.
It's quite impossible to open it, Mr. Miller, until I release it.
Mary Newhall, what is the meaning of this?
That's what we're going to discuss. Sit down, Mr. Miller. Ah, that's better. I assume that sometime while you were being skimpily educated at the university, Mr. Miller, you learned something about the evolution of man.
Is this the child I've been giving C pluses to?
The child to whom you gave C pluses, Mr. Miller, is a noxious character that I created, a role I played, shall we say, so that I could get through the days and years until the rebellion could be launched.
A rebellion?
You did learn something about evolution in that ridiculous college you went to.
Yes.
Then you know, of course, that our species could not have survived had it not been that we met the needs for survival by developing ever upward. The Java man, our ancestor, could never have lasted had he stood still.
Well, I know all that. I'm surprised that you do, but...
And we can't survive. Mankind, the way mankind is right now, cannot survive unless we change.
You were talking on the phone about revolution.
That's right. And what you're concerned with, Mr. Miller, is that revolution is not evolution. Perfectly correct. But suppose that you, Mr. Ethan Miller, with the brain that you possess, had been born into a society of cavemen. Do you think they would have listened to you?
I'm sure I don't know, but this is beside the point, Mary. I want to know...
I'll get to everything that you want to know. Look at that window.
How did you make that happen?
Want to hear some music? We haven't got a phonograph here, have we?
No.
And yet, listen.
Good heavens.
If you, as you are now, had been born into the age of the caveman, Mr. Miller, you would have been as far in advance of him as I am in advance of you. Now tell me something. Do you want to turn the world over to me? Do you want me to govern you?
Well, I believe in self-government.
That's the answer you would have got from the caveman. You would have had to revolt. So my friends and I are going to have to revolt.
Your friends?
Mutants. I'm a mutant, and there are a couple of million like me, all of us children chronologically, but all of us infinitely wiser than you grown-ups. If we leave the world to you, the world will perish. So we're taking over. We'll launch our revolution quite soon now.
Mary Newhall, open this door. I want to get out of here.
No, Mr. Miller. Unfortunately, you're never going to get out of this room. I'm afraid you're the first victim of our revolution.
I'll have to admit I panicked. I beat on the door. I tried the handle. But I might just as well have been locked in a bank vault. Finally, in great despair, I sank into the chair again.
That's better.
Well, what are you going to do with me?
We'll find out in a minute. A friend of mine is due here for a conference. We'll discuss your fate when she comes.
All right, never mind me. What are you going to do to the world? You say you're going to take it over. What are you going to do with it?
You're worried about that.
Of course I am.
Well, you may be assured that we will not do with the world what you grown-ups have done with it. We shall not dress young men in soldier suits and give them guns with which to kill each other. We shall not dig shelters in which people may crouch and cower while bombs drop on their cities. We shall not allow some to starve while others grow fat.
And just how will you answer the threat of communism?
When we take over, there will be no such threat. All the systems that you grown-ups have invented are childish to us. Here's my friend.
Why was the door shut, Mary? You knew I was coming, so what? Oh.
Get out of the doorway, Helen.
I'm getting out of here.
Sorry, Mr. Miller. You're not leaving.
Oh, gee whiz. Hello, Mr. Miller. I'm sure glad to see you because I was going to ask Mary a question about the homework. Do we have
Never mind, Helen.
What do you mean?
Apparently, Helen, she means that you are a mutant, too. And you don't have to pretend any longer because I've discovered your secret.
Oh.
It's quite true, Helen.
In that case, Mary, we shall have to immobilize him.
I know. I've been waiting for you. This, of course, is a test of our principled position.
What principled position, for heaven's sake?
I know. Have you talked to Frank about it?
Not yet. I'll call him now. Frank? Mary here. No, the grown-up is still here. And now that Helen's arrived... What's that? Well, yes. Immobilization, of course. But the question is which type of immobilization?
We can't let him out of this room.
Did you hear, Helen? She's right, of course. If he gets out of this room, we wouldn't have any power to... Mm-hmm. Freezing, huh? You think freezing fits in with our principles? It's rather a nice problem. I think perhaps you're right, though.
I listened to everything that was said with great intentness. I knew by now that despite the fact that these were children, they were far more brilliant than I could ever be, and far more powerful. It chilled my blood to hear that they contemplated freezing me, whatever dreadful thing that might mean. But I didn't let myself give way to any further panic. I had noted carefully that to call Frank, Mary had simply dialed F. And I found one small hope in what I heard. It came when Mary said that if I got out of the room, they would have no power over me. That meant that whatever diabolical scientific processes were open to them, its wizardry would not work out in the open air, out of this room. I determined to get out as soon as possible.
Well, all right, Frank. Let me consult Helen. Freezing, Helen? Frank feels that's nonviolent.
He may be making a distinction without a difference, but I suppose he's right. Pragmatically, he's certainly right.
Frank, Helen agrees. We'll telephone you when we've accomplished the freezing.
You children seem to have some ethical problem.
We do indeed. We have to take care of you, immobilize you. But we have to do it in a non-violent way.
You see, the whole point of our revolution is that we are sickened by the violence you grown-ups have unleashed into the world.
So you'll freeze me, whatever that means. I don't suppose I'll be able to talk or move at all, but just because there'll be no ropes or chains around me, you'll tell yourselves that you're not being violent. Well, perhaps that's what you think. But nonetheless, I'll be your victim, and I certainly call that violent.
You have a certain point, but we're in no position to be able to consider it.
For goodness sake, let's get on with the freezing.
No, wait.
Well?
Well, look, this has all been a tremendous surprise to me. It's hard for me to take in. You can understand that. But if you can convince me that you really have learned so much more than grown-ups have, I know you're not the children I thought you were, but show me how wise and powerful you are. Maybe I could be reconciled to what's going to happen to me.
What do you want us to do?
Well, before you came, Mary seemed to pluck music right out of the atmosphere. Can you do that?
Don't listen to him, Helen.
Why not? What harm is there in it? Yes, Mr. Miller, I can. Listen. You see?
It's amazing. I'm trying to find where it comes from.
Turn it off, Helen.
And you can do all the things that Mary can do? She just sat there and opened the door and the window.
Certainly I can. See the window?
Thank you!
Stop him! Stop him! Stop!
It was a two-story drop, and I'm not as young as I used to be. I was stunned for a bit, just lying there. And then I heard those children right behind me. I didn't have time to think of how ludicrous this chase was. A grown man pursued by two children. And what's more, I was mortally afraid of them. I ran through two backyards, over a fence, running always toward the center of town. I was headed toward the police station. I wanted those children, those monsters, captured and locked up. And they kept right after me. One thing I was pretty sure. I had to gamble on it. They could hurt me only in that room over Mary's father's garage, where they hid their infernal gadgets. If I could maneuver them into an alley, and then finally there was the alley between the police station and the East End garage. I ran into it. And I turned to face them.
Come on, Helen, in here.
I'm coming.
Well, Mr. Miller?
Come and get me.
Take him on the right, Mary. I'll take him on the left.
Just a moment, Helen. What can you be thinking of? Put that stick down.
Well, look.
This evident impulse toward violence, Helen, is a shocking retrogression.
I'm sorry. I've compromised our principles, I know, but the alternative is unthinkable. We can't jeopardize the revolution. We can't let the grown-ups continue their folly.
He can't move out of this alley without coming toward us. If he does, I'll show you how to defeat him.
Well, I'm coming.
Chief! Chief Hobbs!
Oh, you little devil.
You know, stop that. Stop.
All right, Chief. All right. I'll let them go, but you grab hold of them. Arrest them.
Oh, thank you, Chief. Thank you. Golly, I don't know what came over Mr. Miller. He went all funny and chased us in the alley, and then
Chief Hobbs, I'm awfully glad we were near the police station. He had us scared to death, honest.
Chief, don't listen to these children.
I'll listen to anybody who gives me a sensible story. Now, what's going on here?
Gosh, I don't know, Chief. Mr. Miller started chasing us and yelling things we didn't understand.
Well, now, I can't believe that of Mr. Miller.
Well, gee whiz, we couldn't either. We didn't even run at first, did we, Mary?
No, but then when he started to grab us...
Ethan Miller, did you lay a hand on these children?
Yes.
There's a state law against that, you know.
Chief, will you listen to me?
Oh, he scares me the way he shouts.
All right, now. All right, now. Calm down, everybody. I'll listen to you, Ethan.
Chief, these children are planning to overthrow the government.
Now, what kind of talk is
Wait
that?
a minute. Let me start over again. Look in her pocket there. See that notebook? Give him the notebook, Mary.
Yes, I'll take that notebook. What about it?
Oh, it's my pen pal's notebook.
That's right. Mary has a lot of pen pals. Gosh, she writes more letters than things.
Look at the names and addresses in that notebook, Chief. Yes, I know she says they're pen pals. Let me tell you, if you check with the post office, you'll find she's never written to any of those addresses.
What are they here for, then?
Because I write to them.
That's right. They're her pen pals.
She doesn't write to them. She telephones them.
Now, wait a minute. Here's one in Tibet. You wanted me to believe she telephones him?
Oh, look, Chief. These children, believe it or not, are engaged in a conspiracy.
Gosh, Mr. Miller's flipped his lid.
Looks that way to me, too, Ethan.
Chief, I've been a school teacher in this town for 7 years. Did I ever seem crazy to you before?
Nope.
All right. Now let's suppose I am accused of something. What am I accused of?
Hitting the kids. Molesting them.
All right. Now, I claim there's something very, very wrong with these kids. Maybe my claims sound pretty strange to you, but, well, look, if the kids are innocent, they certainly would be willing to sit and wait for a while in the station house if you asked them to. Now, wouldn't they?
Well, I should hope they'd respect me bag.
All right. Take them to the station house and have them wait. And let me go. Give me half an hour. I guess my record in this town has earned me that much consideration, hasn't it?
What do you want a half hour for?
To gather evidence.
All right, Ethan. You kids willing to come along to the station house with me?
Gee, I don't mind.
How about you, young lady?
Me? Gosh, I don't mind waiting. If Mr. Miller wants half an hour, gee whiz, it's all the same to me. But, Mr. Miller, I feel sorry for you. You're not going to find any evidence.
The chief took the children into the station house, and I went on down the road. I could see now what I was up against. And I knew that my only chance was to find something, I didn't know what, in that room where Mary and Helen had me cornered. I went there, and I started searching. I couldn't find anything. Finally, I sat down, started thinking. I remembered what the children had said about the way we grown-ups had made a mess of the world. I remembered their policy of nonviolence. I remembered how they'd even been unwilling to use violence on me when they had me alone in that alley. And I thought of the miserable world we live in, with the fear of the bomb and with poverty and degradation so rampant. Suddenly, I knew what I wanted to do. I picked up the phone.
Hello, Mary? What happened?
This isn't Mary, Frank. This is that grown-up she told you about.
Yes?
I want to say to you, Frank, that I understand what you children are trying to do.
Go on.
And I agree that it is necessary.
I'm happy that you do, sir. That makes you somewhat brighter than most of mankind.
But there's just one thing.
What's that?
Look, postpone your revolution.
Why?
Give us a chance. I'll tell the other grown-ups.
No.
I'll preach to them.
No.
I'll tell them that it's time we started being neighbors and brothers to each other. Give us a year.
No.
Give us 6 months.
No. You grown-ups have had your chance. Your day is past. We take over within a week, and there will be no postponement.
But please listen to me. Come back, Frank. Hello? Hello? Please answer. It was a toy phone again, and there was no other evidence. I went slowly down to the police station. I told my story, and Chief Hobbs laughed at me. The school board met that night and dismissed me. And today I'm out of a job. But that doesn't matter. Listen to me. Listen to me, everybody. We only have a week. We only have 1 week to learn how to make this a decent world.
Suspense. You've been listening to The Juvenile Rebellion, starring Jimsy Summers and Court Benson, and written especially for Suspense by Robert Senadella. Starting the week at Arthur Godfrey time, guest host Sam Levinson enlivens this popular CBS radio network show with his unique brand of comedy. He'll be ably supported by lovely Connie Mitchell and those Puerto Rican jazz stylists, the Four Amigos. On Tuesday, the old master himself will be back from vacation, raring to go, and ready to welcome one and all to Arthur Godfrey time each weekday morning right here.
Come in. Welcome. I'm E.G. Marshall, in charge of the bizarre, keeper of the grotesque, collector of the fantastic. It is my duty to delve into unfrequented places in search of the unexpected. I deal in that touch of the improbable, which gives a series of events the quality we call mystery. If an element of horror creeps in now and again, you don't really mind, do you? I thought not. Actually, that's why we're all here, isn't it?
You want to take some advice from an old woman who...
Our mystery drama, The Colony, was written especially for the Mystery Theater by Fielden Farrington and stars Tony Roberts. It is sponsored in part by Sign-Off, the Sinus Medicines, and Buick Motor Division. I'll be back shortly with Act One. If you were doing the looking, where would you look for an occurrence that could be properly described as macabre? Where would you expect a nightmare to happen? In some dusty dungeon overlaid with a patina of past horrors? In an ancient Middle European principality famous for its vampires and walking dead? Well, weird goings-on would seem suitable in such places, it's true. But how about a well-maintained highway in beautiful New Hampshire, caught basking in the glory of the late afternoon sun?
I can't believe it.
Can't believe what, Michael?
3 weeks, Mary. 3 long weeks of gypsying. 3 lovely weeks of going wherever we choose to go and staying as long as we like. Going on whenever we like. I just can't believe it.
Well, what we'd better start thinking about is a campsite for tonight. Now, there's supposed to be a very good one at a place called Essex. You don't suppose we passed it, do you?
Well, check the map.
I have. I just can't seem to find it. Oh, Michael, slow down. There's a sign coming up.
Yeah, I see it.
Colony, New Hampshire. Population 634. Well, maybe we can stop and ask somebody here where Essex is.
Okay.
I'd like to get everything squared away before it gets dark.
We will. Remember, we haven't a care in the world.
Michael, look out!
What in the name of...
What was that thing?
I have no idea. I never saw anything like it before. It was some kind of an airship.
It looked like it came right up out of the road right in front of us.
Yeah, I think it was behind that clump of trees at the turn, right up there. I'm going to get out and take a look.
And look at what? The thing's gone now.
Yeah, but it must have burned off some grass or something. Hey, didn't you see the flames shooting out underneath it? Some kind of rockets, I guess. Come on. I think it's just in back of these trees.
Oh.
I'm sure this is where it came from.
Michael, do you think it was an unidentified flying object?
Yeah, well, I sure couldn't identify it. Hey, there. Look.
The ground's burned to a crisp in that big circle. Was the thing that big?
No, I don't think so. Hey, if you ask me, there's been more than one of these landing and taking off here.
Oh, let's get back to the car, please. It's kind of scary.
Yeah, okay.
Well, we ought to report this to somebody, don't you think?
Yeah, I don't know. Hey, everybody who reports an unidentified flying object always gets treated like a crackpot. If nobody believes you, what's the good of reporting it?
They'll have to believe us. We saw it.
Yeah, and that's what they all say.
Well, we can bring them back here and show them where the grass is burned off.
Yeah, there is that.
Michael, that was a real thing we saw. And we don't know where it came from or what kind of a threat it may represent. Well, somebody ought to check it out.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Okay. We'll report it when we get to, what was the name of that town?
Colony, New Hampshire. Population 634.
And that's the way it was, Sheriff Marcus. I mean, the thing nearly scared us to death. Whooshing up out of nowhere right in front of us, shooting out flames and everything.
What they always say, about flying saucers is that they're just some kind of optical illusion.
Well, this was not an optical illusion, Sheriff. It was just as real as you are sitting there.
Yeah, and we can take you back there and show you where the grass is all burned off.
Well, we'll have a look later on, that's for sure.
Later on?
Right now, what I'd like is to have a talk with Annie Stebbins about this.
Oh, who's Annie Stebbins?
Mayor of Colony. You don't hardly ever do anything without consulting Annie on it first. Where was you on your way to?
Oh, well, we're just sort of jiggling around, We're on a camping trip. Thought we'd see as much of New England as we can in 3 weeks.
Well, we did want to get to a place called Essex before dark. They say there's a good campsite there, and, well, we just thought we'd like to set up camp before dark.
Don't know if you'd be able to do that. Essex is about 60 miles on down the road.
Oh, darn. It would have been nice to get there before dark, that's all.
Tell you what, I'll take you on down to May Norton's place.
Where's that?
May's widow lady lives other end of town, the old Daly place. We haven't got a real honest-to-goodness restaurant in Colony, but May sometimes gives folks on the way through their dinners. Even puts them up for the night.
Oh, well, I don't think we'd want to stay for the night.
Well, dinner doesn't sound like such a bad idea, though.
You could have dinner while I'm having my talk with Annie Stebbins. Then we can all go have a look at the place where your thing took off. Ought to be able to make it there before dark. They just don't like to make a move without I talk to Annie first. I want to tell you, Mr. and Miss Duncan, you're going to get one of the finest meals you ever ate.
Mrs. Norton's a good cook, is she?
Good. Never seen her equal.
How do, Thad?
Hello, May. You feel like cooking a big dinner for a couple of tired tourists tonight?
Well, I reckon I could see my way clear to. Be the regular price.
It's $4 apiece, which you always charges.
Well, come in. Come in. You can make yourself comfortable there in the sitting room till I get things on the table. Be maybe a half hour or so.
Just make yourselves right at home. May doesn't stand on ceremony. I just want to have a word with her, and then I'll go have a talk with Annie.
How long do you think you'll be?
Oh, ought to be back by the time you finish dinner or shortly after.
Something you want to talk to me about, Thad?
You wouldn't have a cup of coffee, would you?
Well, I got some I made a while back. I guess it's still fit to drink.
Sure it is.
You didn't leave them in the sitting room just to get a cup of coffee, though, did you?
Truth is, I've been wanting to talk to you, May.
Well, go ahead and talk.
Them folks you got out there in your sitting room, the Duncans, they come into my office saying they seen a flying saucer.
Oh. Happened again, did it?
I have to go talk to Annie Stebbins, of course. And I don't want them getting restless before I get back.
I'll give them a good big dinner and see they take their time eating it. They won't get restless.
Do you think there was anything odd about the way Sheriff Marcus took it when we told him about the unidentified flying object?
No. In fact, I thought he took it very well.
Well, I guess that's what I mean. I think he believes us.
Well, didn't you want him to?
Yeah, but I didn't expect him to. He didn't even seem surprised.
Well, it's just too bad there aren't more people around like him. Would have had the whole UFO mystery cleared up years ago.
Maybe. It just seemed sort of strange to me, that's all.
You sure you wouldn't like another piece of the blueberry pie, Mr. Duncan?
Oh, I just wouldn't have any place to put it, Mrs. Norton.
Oh, I can't remember the last time anybody called me Mrs. Norton. You better just make it May. Well, if I can't get you to eat anything more, why don't we just take our coffee into the living room while we're waiting for Thad to get through chewing the fat with Annie?
I'm kind of surprised it's taken him so long.
Oh, things don't move very fast in Colony, Mr. Duncan. A couple of old town people like Thad and Annie get to talk and they could go on half the night. Maybe you'd like some of my blackberry brandy?
Oh, no, thank you. I don't think so.
Oh, I feel fine just the way I am.
So, you seen a flying saucer, did you?
We sure did.
How did you know that?
Thad said something about it before he left. What was it you wanted Thad to do about the flying saucer after you told him about it?
Well, I don't know. I just always thought you report a thing like that to an official, that's all.
Oh, yeah. Well, maybe Annie can think of something, though I don't know what it'd be. If you don't mind my saying so, you might have been smarter just to mind your own business.
I think UFOs are everybody's business.
Yeah, why do you think we would have been smarter?
Well, no reason, I guess, except it usually is. Smarter to mind a person's own business.
And I still say that a UFO sighting is my business. I think people shrug them off too easily. They can't all be weather balloons or optical illusions. Too many of the things have been seen.
Well, I never said you seen a weather balloon.
Well, you did say we should have minded our own business.
For your own good was what I meant.
Yeah, in what way? For your own good?
If I was you and wanted to finish my nice vacation like I planned, I'd just get up from here right now and get into my car, and I'd drive right on ahead to wherever it was I wanted to get to in the first place. I wouldn't spend one more minute than I had to in the town of Colony.
Why?
Just advice, I said. No explaining.
Well, you can't just advise us to do something like that without giving us a reason.
Sure I can. I just did.
That's the story they told me, Arnie. I figured there wasn't much question but what they seen the thing. It's too bad. I figured I'd better come to you with it. Best for you to decide what has to be done. Oh, you done right. I'm just wondering if maybe it won't have to go a little higher than me before it's settled. Up to you to decide that, I guess. Well, one thing I can tell you right now. We've got to keep those two in town. We can't let them leave Colony. Keep them how, Arnie? They're itching to get on their way right now. How am I going to talk them into staying? You're the sheriff, ain't you? Yeah. Got a jail, ain't you? But, Arnie... Well, you have to hold them, Thad. Hold them for what? Ain't no law against thinking you saw a flying saucer. Well, think of something. They can't be allowed to leave Colony. Not alive. They can't.
A quiet drive along a peaceful New England road has led to a UFO sighting. And the UFO sighting has led to danger for two innocent people. So much for the idea, if anyone had it, that you must go looking in the wilds of Transylvania for improbable and dangerous happenings. Start being careful right in your own home while waiting for me to return shortly with Act 2. There's been a great deal of speculation upon the nature and origin of unidentified flying objects. The speculation has led to a wealth of conjecture, but a remarkable dearth of answers. Many reasonable, thinking men and women believe the UFOs to be very real. At least as many others believe them to be figments of mass imagination. Our story doesn't pretend to offer an answer. It simply explores one of many possibilities.
That's most likely the sheriff back from talking to the mayor. Now, don't let on I said what I said to you.
And advising us to run, you mean?
It wouldn't do you two no good, and it'd most likely get me into a mess of trouble.
Well, all right, if we won't say anything about it, will we, Michael?
Oh, I suppose not, although I...
All right, I'm coming. Keep your shirt on.
Everything all right, May?
Well, of course, everything's all right. Come on in.
Sorry to keep you two waiting around like this. Annie made me go over your story about 2-3 times. He was right concerned about it.
Are we going to have a look at the place the thing took off from?
Oh, well, yes, we'll do that, of course. First, though, we're all going to meet in my office, Town Hall.
Well, it's going to be dark if we don't stop fooling around.
Little lady's 100% right. We better be on our way. Mayor Stebbins, want you to meet Mr. and Miss Duncan, two I told you about. A pleasure indeed.
Glad to know you, Mayor.
Don't you think we'd better get started? I mean, Michael and I still have to find a place to spend the night.
Oh, there's plenty of time, Miss Duncan. I'm a man never did like to rush things headlong. Better to consider a thing from all angles first, don't you think? Now, where were you two driving from today?
Well, we spent last night at a motel just outside Stamford. We plan to start our real camping tonight.
A place called Essex was where you wanted to get to?
Yes, that's right.
Well, now, where'd you stop for lunch today?
What difference could that possibly make?
We stopped at a roadside restaurant. Didn't notice what town it was near.
Have anything to drink at the roadside restaurant?
Drink? A cup of coffee, I think.
No alcoholic beverages?
We don't drink, Mayor Stebbins.
You didn't stop anywhere along the way in the afternoon and have a drop?
No, I told you we don't drink.
Well, why all the questioning, Mayor? We stopped at the sheriff's office to report the sighting of an unidentified flying object. Why are we being questioned?
Well, I'll tell you how it is, Mr. Duncan. Thad and I take our responsibility to the town of Colony right serious.
Yes, so?
One of the things we will not tolerate is drunken driving.
I couldn't agree with you more, sir, but what has that got to do with us?
Well, I'm the kind of man, Mr. Duncan, that likes to keep both feet on the ground. I believe half of what I see and very little of what I hear. So, when it comes to saucers, I never seen one.
Neither did we, sir, until this afternoon.
And you're sure you saw one then?
Yes, sir, quite sure.
Thad, remember the time Roy Beecher thought he saw a flying saucer? Drunk scoot he was at the time. Spent the night in jail and had a good laugh at himself the next day for thinking he'd seen a flying saucer. I remember it well. Been my opinion ever since that anybody thinks he sees a flying saucer, he's been drinking too much. All there is to it. Flying saucer, too much booze.
This is ridiculous.
Look, you're accusing us of drunken driving?
I've got no choice. You claiming you saw a flying saucer and all.
But I tell you, we don't drink. We never drink.
Don't you have some kind of a test? Blow up a balloon or something like that?
Too late for that now. Might not have been when you first came in, but it is now. Hey, besides, you've had one of May Norton's monstrous big suppers on top of whatever it was you had to drink this afternoon. So, best you just spend the night here with us, and we can talk more about it in the morning.
Spend the night here with you?
We've got a right comfortable jail here. Right back there, through that door.
Are you suggesting that my wife and I spend the night in your jail?
Not just suggesting it, Mr. Duncan. That's the way it's going to be.
Michael, that gun.
Sheriff Marcus, you are going to be very sorry you drew that gun.
Maybe so. Meantime, you two just go on back through that door, and we'll get you tucked in for the night.
Michael?
Good morning.
You awake?
Yeah, I've been awake for quite a while. I thought I'd let you sleep as long as you could.
Surprised I went to sleep at all. Did you?
Yes, it's not really so bad, you know. We slept in motels that weren't any better.
Yeah, well, I'd rather sleep in a motel just the same.
Yeah. It's the indignity of being jailed for the night. That's what makes it so bad.
And for drunken driving.
Oh, it wasn't for that, Mary. Listen, I think we got put in jail because we saw a flying saucer. I mean, I figure they're hooked up somehow to that UFO we saw.
Who, the mayor and the sheriff? How could they be?
I don't know, but why else would they want to lock us up?
Well, then you think the drunken driving charge was just an excuse?
Oh, sure, of course it was.
Mr. and Mrs. Duncan?
Who is it?
May Norton. I brought your breakfast.
Oh, well, I'm a lot more interested in getting out of here than I am in breakfast.
Wouldn't want you driving off on an empty stomach.
What time does the sheriff get in the morning?
I don't know. Different times, I expect. I don't have a key to the cell there. I'll have to shove the trays in under the door. There's country-cured ham, fried eggs, home-fried potatoes, hot biscuits and honey. Hope you got a good appetite.
Well, that's one thing we won't be able to complain about, at least. The food, well, I'll be bringing all your meals. I'll see to it you're fed real good.
Yeah, well, this is the last meal that you're going to have to bother with because the sheriff has no excuse whatever for holding us any longer. He's going to have to let us go this morning.
Well, I wouldn't depend on it if I was you. Eat your breakfast before your eggs get cold.
You busy, Annie? Oh, come in, Pat. Come in. You been in to check up on our guest this morning? Ain't been to my office yet. Don't know as I'll get down there for a while. Kind of embarrassing. You decided yet what we're going to do about them? Yeah, I reckon so. We'll have to check it out first, of course. I don't feel comfortable about it, Annie. Any special reason? Well, this young couple, they're the kind of folks that's likely to have a whole slew of friends and relations fretting over them if they don't show up where they're expected. How long a vacation they on? 3 weeks, I think one of them said. Just starting, too. Just kind of meandering around, camping wherever they happen to feel like it. That's the idea I got. No advance itinerary? You wouldn't think so. Well, then, I don't see we got anything to worry about. Sooner or later, their folks are going to be out looking for them. Dad, we're going to have to convert them. We're going to have to take them over and keep them here. It's the only way.
Lunchtime. Start you off with some nice clam chowder.
Where's the sheriff?
Well, I couldn't rightly say, Mr. Duncan. I did see him over at Harry's Diner around 10:30 or 11, but where he
We
is
haven't
now,
seen a soul all morning. I mean, except for you, there's been nobody in here the whole day.
Well, I reckon he must have had business somewhere.
Well, the sheriff has got no right to keep us in jail, and we want to get
Hey,
out.
I have the right to make a phone call. Now, I should have been allowed to make a phone call last night.
Oh, it looks like I'm going to have to tell you the whole story.
What whole story?
Here, just let me shove your lunch under the door here. You can eat while you're listening.
I don't want to eat anything.
Might as well, Michael. Well, what story are you going to tell us?
Well, it started a couple of years ago.
What started?
Well, that was when they first landed. The flying saucers.
You mean flying saucers have been sighted here before?
Oh, my, yes. I was sitting out in my front yard there, shelling peas. I recollect like it was yesterday. They came swooping down out of the sky like to scare me out of my wits. 3 of them there was in that first bunch.
I knew there'd been more than one landing in that place.
I seen folks coming out of their houses looking toward where they'd landed, you know. So I put my pan of peas to one side, and I started walking in that direction, along with the rest of them. Well, it's a funny thing.
What? What funny thing,
Well,
Mel?
there's a spell there where everything was real mixed up, and I don't remember very well.
You don't remember what?
Well, for one thing, what they looked like.
Who?
The folks, those things, whatever they was that got out of those flying saucers. I've talked to some of the others, and they can't remember that part either. Like it got erased or something. All I remember is just a kind of jumble. Until that evening, I guess it would be, that same evening.
Why, what happened that evening?
They had us all collected in a place that looked like one of them mad scientists' laboratories. Like you see in the old movies, you know. They had the whole town in there, every soul of us. I found out later it was down in the basement of the town hall there. They'd rigged the old cellar down there for a laboratory. Still using it, they are.
Still? You mean they're still around?
Wait till I tell you. Thad Marcus and Arnie Stebbins were already running things. They'd been converted before we woke up. Or we come to, or whatever it was we did.
Converted?
That's what they called it. They was leading us one at a time up to a thing looked like a dentist chair. And they'd make us sit in it and put a thing kind of like a hairdryer over our heads. And then they'd flip a lot of switches, Thad Marcus and Arnie Stebbins, just like they knew what they were doing. And then whoever was in the chair would kind of shiver and slump down for a minute until Thad and Arnie threw some more switches. Then they'd take that one back to his seat and lead up the next one.
Well, what were they doing to the people in the chair?
Converting.
You mean by converting?
Well, you will when I come to that part. They put me in the dentist chair and put the hairdryer thing over my head and started flipping their switches. I got a funny feeling. I'll never forget it. Like my head was being all separated into little bitty pieces and put back together in a different way. Something like that. Well, I passed out for a minute. When I come to, they was leading me back to my seat with the others. Only it wasn't me.
Wasn't you?
Well, it seemed like I was occupying just a little corner of my head while somebody or something else was using the rest of it.
Well, I don't understand.
Well, I didn't either at first, but I did later on. One of the things out of the flying saucers had taken me over. I was still in there, the real me, but I had nothing to do with what my body thought or said or did. I'd been possessed.
But what about the rest of them?
All just like me. Took over. Every last one of them.
And are they still controlled?
Still are. Every last soul in this town.
And get free.
Stubborn, that's all. I just wouldn't give in to all that electrical mumbo-jumbo. Kept on resisting and fighting till I got the upper hand.
How could you do that when the others couldn't?
I've been thinking about that a lot, and I think I've got it figured out. My great-great-grandmother, something like that,
was burned for a witch when they had the trouble over in Salem. Maybe I inherited something from her.
Well, so what are you saying, that you're a witch?
Oh, land, no. I don't believe in that kind of nonsense. No, what I'm saying is, all them women that got accused of being witches, all they was just stubborn women. I mean stubborn way past ordinary. So stubborn, they just would have their own way and nothing else would do.
And that's what you think you inherited from your great-great-grandmother. Her stubbornness.
Well, I got it. No question about that. Come to some alien taking over my mind. I was just too pig-headed to let him have it, that's all.
But what about the others? I mean, all the rest of the people who've been taken over.
Well, it's my opinion that if they had just stood up and refused to give in to the aliens, they'd all be free right now.
What happened to the alien who tried to take possession of you?
I just threw her out. Last I've heard of her, I don't know what became of her. Evaporated, I wouldn't be surprised.
Hmm. Well, that's quite a story.
It's more than a story, as you'll find out.
What do you mean, as we'll find out?
Don't you see? They'll have to convert you. What else can they do now that you know about the flying saucers? This time tomorrow, unless you can figure some way out of it, you'll be one of them.
What could be more terrifying than the prospect of having your mind and body taken over by an alien being, then being left with nothing of your true self but a small, impotent corner of awareness? To be forced to watch helplessly as your own body performed deeds you found unspeakable. This is what may confront Michael and Mary Duncan when I return shortly with Act 3. If we're to believe May Norton's story, the bodies and minds of all the citizens of Colony, New Hampshire have been taken over and are controlled by alien beings who come and go in spaceships, like the one Michael and Mary Duncan saw on their way into the village. Michael and Mary are being held incommunicado in the colony jail and are, again, according to May Norton, slated to be taken over themselves by the aliens.
They can't do it, can they, Michael?
I don't know. Take control of our mind?
Do you really believe that all the people in this whole town are being controlled by beings from another galaxy or something?
It sounds pretty outlandish, I grant you. But look, there's something fishy going on here. And it's got something to do with that UFO we saw.
Well, what are we going to do, Michael?
I don't know. I'm trying to think of something.
Made up your mind, Annie, about them, have you?
Yeah.
Been in touch with folks up on the mothership about it?
I had a long talk with them earlier this morning. They agree with us that there ain't nothing we can do but take over the Duncans.
I just wish I could feel more comfortable about it. What exactly was decided?
The ship's sending down the 2 new colonists around 8 to 9. I figure we can have the takeover down in the lab around 8:30. Sound all right to you?
Sounds fine. Sooner I get them 2 out of my jail, better I like it. Where'd you figure on putting them up?
Well, I thought about letting them have a couple of rooms over Miss Norton's. She's just rattling around that big old house all by herself. All that extra space just going to waste.
Good idea. Wouldn't hurt to have somebody keep an eye on May anyway.
She's still making trouble, is she?
Kind of halfway subversive talk. Nothing anybody can put a finger on.
I'll schedule the takeover for 8:30 tonight. We'll have everybody in to witness it as usual.
All down?
Every man jack of them.
Want me to let them all know?
I guess you better, yes. Tell them 8:30 sharp. We don't want to waste time waiting for anybody.
Howdy, May.
I've been looking for you all day, Thad. Where you been?
Oh, here and there. What'd you want to see me about?
Well, that young Duncan boy you got over there in jail, he asked me to tell you he wants to see you. Said you hadn't been in all morning.
No.
Well, he's busting to talk to you.
I had other business round and about.
You've been keeping them fed good, ain't you?
Yes, and that was something else I wanted to talk to you about. It don't seem right shoving that tray into them under the door. There's no way to serve a meal. Why don't you let me have a key to their cell so as I can bring the trays in and serve them right?
I don't think so, May. Rather not take a chance, them jumping you or something. Main reason I stopped around, there's a meeting tonight, basement of the town hall, 8:30.
Down in that laboratory place?
That's right.
I guess that means you're planning to take over the Duncans, don't it?
You just get to the meeting on time, May. That's all you got to worry about.
Marco, what are you doing?
I'm just checking to see if there's a loose bar anywhere. I want to get out of this place.
Oh, escape. I mean, that's a little melodramatic, isn't it?
Well, damn it, we could rot here, Mary. I mean, with May bringing us our meals, there's no reason why the sheriff would ever have to come around.
I don't know. In view of what May told us, I just assume he didn't.
What do you mean, about aliens taking possession of us? Yeah, I've been thinking about that.
Do you believe it?
Well, I mean, we saw a flying saucer, or whatever you want to call it. And we're being held in jail here for nothing. Are the aliens any harder to believe?
Yoo-hoo, it's me again. May? Supper time. Pot roast and mashed potatoes tonight.
Have you seen anything of Sheriff Marcus?
Thad? Sure, I saw him. Told him you wanted to talk to him, but I don't think it done any good.
No. He hasn't been around.
I'll just shove these trays under the door here. You better eat up right away. I tried to get the keys to the jail from Thad, but he wouldn't give them to me. Said I'd like to have them so I could serve you dinner proper.
Were you going to let us out?
Well, of course. What else would I want the keys for? That's very good of you, May. Well, you'd have had to take me away with you. I couldn't have stayed on after turning you loose.
Yeah, I've been wondering about that, May. Why haven't you run away? I mean, you're not possessed by these aliens. There's nothing holding you here.
I don't know. I've always lived here all my life. Well, that's one thing. And then for another, I keep figuring sooner or later I'll get the chance to do some good. I mean, help set the others free. Or maybe keep them from taking over somebody like you. I don't know. I just stayed around.
Is there any way you can keep them from taking us over, May?
No way I can think of. I've been racking my brains. And I've got some bad news, I'm afraid.
Oh, what bad news?
They're planning on doing it tonight. Tonight, 8:30 sharp. There's a meeting in the basement under the town hall. That's where they got that laboratory place I told you about.
A meeting?
Yeah. They all turn out, the whole town, whenever there's a takeover.
What do they look like? I mean, these creatures. You know, the creatures from outer space.
Well, some like us. I mean, 2 arms, 2 legs, all that. A face with 2 eyes, a nose, a mouth. Only just not quite exactly in the right places. You know what I mean? And hair, more like young duck's down than hair. Oh, we don't see much of them. They don't show up except when they absolutely have to. You'll see a couple of them tonight. We will? Yeah. The 2 they send down to take you over.
Oh. All right, now look, there's got to be some way to stop them. There must be.
I wish I could think of what it is.
What time is it, Mary? I've let my watch run down.
10 after 8. Michael, they'll be coming for us soon.
All right, now look, when they come, I imagine it'll be the sheriff. Don't make a fuss of any kind, you know. Don't try to hold back or anything like that.
Why not?
Well, I want the sheriff to be as favorably disposed toward us as possible. I'm going to ask him to let me make a little speech before the changeover.
What kind of a speech, Michael?
Well, I think it's just as well you don't know in advance, Mary.
Have you thought of a way to keep us from being taken over?
Well, maybe.
You two can take your places on the podium there to the left of the mayor. I'll be sitting just to your left.
Why do we have to be on stage?
You'll find out. All in good time.
Michael.
Yes.
Michael, look at those two standing toward the back of the stage. Just behind the mayor.
The alien.
They're really not human, are they?
No.
Oh, Michael, I don't want one of those things inside my mind.
No.
All right. Let's come to order here. Sheriff Marcus, have these two been informed of the nature of tonight's proceedings?
Not yet, Mayor.
Please so inform them.
Michael Duncan, Mary Duncan, you are hereby served notice that you will this night have the honor of contributing your bodies and the remainder of your lives to the advancement of the great new civilization which is about to be realized upon your earth.
How can you do a thing like that?
You've already been told all you need to know.
I see. Listen to me, you who are enslaved in your own minds and bodies. Hear me and think. Think as yourselves. You can do it if you try. One of your number has done it. There is one of you who has been secretly free the whole time.
Me, I'm free. Me, May Norton, I'm the one.
All right, that'll be enough. You, Mayor Stebbins, I want to talk to you. Not to the arrogant creature who has assumed command of your body, Arnie Stebbins, but you. The Arnie Stebbins who was once the mayor of this town. The Stebbins who can hear me but cannot act. I'm speaking to you, Arnie Stebbins. You can act if you will it strongly enough. Look, you were once a strong man, a leader. That strength is all it takes to set you free. Use it. Resist. Think yourself your own man, and you will be your own man.
Thad, make him stop.
No, Thad doesn't want me to stop. Not the real Thad. He's like you, Arnie Stebbins, and all the rest of you. He wants to be free also. Try, Arnie. Try.
No, make him stop.
You can do it, Arnie. You can.
No.
Arnie Stebbins has won. Arnie Stebbins is free. And what he has done, you can all do. Try. Be stronger than they are. Try.
Duncan, help me. I'm Thad Marcus. Really, Thad Marcus. I want out.
Yes, you'll get out. You all will. You're all going to be free.
It ain't quite 24 hours yet, Mr. Duncan, and more than half of them's free already. And them that ain't are harboring some mighty sick aliens.
You think they'll all be able to free themselves?
Every last one of them. No doubt in my mind whatever. Where? I mean, I just wondered what happens to the aliens when they're cast out. I don't know. They're out. That's all I care about. We'll be all right here, Mr. Duncan. You two can go ahead with your trip now.
You don't think we ought to stay until they're all free?
I don't think there's any need for it. We're all right now, or soon we'll be, all of us. The only thing that worries me, there's still something there? I can't help wondering how many other towns they've got, the way they had Colony.
How many towns the size of Colony, New Hampshire, do you suppose there are in this huge country of ours? And what do you do if you see an unidentified flying object taking off near one of them? Stop at the sheriff's office and report it? Or drive straight on through the town as if somebody or something were after you? I'll be back in a few minutes. Colony is just another small New England town these days. The people go about their commonplace affairs as though nothing more melodramatic than a Sunday school picnic had ever happened there. But they remember. Arnie Stebbins never meets with the town council without wondering if they are all truly themselves. And Tad Marcus, making his rounds in the sheriff's official car, keeps a weather eye out for unidentified flying objects. Our cast included Tony Roberts, Morgan Fairchild, Francis Sternhagen, Jackson Beck, and Guy Sorrell. The entire production was under the direction of Hyman Brown. Radio Mystery Theater was sponsored in part by Buick Motor Division and Sign-Off, the sinus medicines. This is E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre. Until next time, pleasant dreams.
You probably heard about that disease at Los Alamos and Hampstead, Washington. It's thought to be caused by radiation. What's been happening is this. Every so often, a key technician or one of the authorities on atomic theory is found sleeping heavily. His pulse is normal, his breathing is deep. There's nothing wrong with him that can be detected. He wakes up after about 24 hours and only remembers a sort of creepy sensation and a kind of cold feeling around the temples. There have been less than a dozen cases of this so far. Every one has been a man with top secret information. These nights, I don't sleep too good. I'm worrying. It's no good me saying anything. Nobody'd listen. Maybe you will. I'll begin at the beginning. It all started when the fireball passed over Tateville about 9 o'clock that night. I just closed up the newspaper office and was walking home. Biotex, the new soak and pre-wash powder, brings you SS68. Stories which plunge vividly into other worlds, other dimensions, other times. SS68.
Now, ladies, we're speaking about Biotex in a series of programs, and Mrs. E.B. Granger of Gordon Road, Heathfield in the Cape wrote to say that she decided to try our Biotex just up to our claims, and she said, I bought a packet, and lo and behold, it actually did just what the advert said. I'm so proud of the children's white shirts, the hankies, and the underwear that I want to say it will be Biotex for me every washing day from now on. Some of my family's accessories were left with slight stains, but now, thanks to Biotex soaking, they come out white. And the stains do go away, as you say. Now, that is the statement from Mrs. Granger of Heathfield of the Cape, and it bears out what we have been saying, you ladies, ever since Biotex first came on the market. We said to you, it is different to any washing product that you've ever used before. We claim that the stubborn stains will vanish, and people like Mrs. Granger bear out our claims. Remember, Biotex.
SS68 presents The Castaway, adapted for radio and produced by Michael McCabe. The Castaway.
Like I said, I watched the fireball pass over Tateville about 9 o'clock. Next morning early, I set out for Tom's ranch in the hills. I was with Tom in the war, and we both share this feeling for places where there aren't any people. Tom wasn't at home, but I settled in and cooked myself a meal at the ranch. And afterwards, when it was real dark, I settled down with a pipe to wait for my buddy. When I heard the horses getting so restless, I took a flashlight and a rifle and went for a look-see.
Who's there? Is that you, Tom? Anybody there? Oh! Hi. Tom? Oh!
Stub Evans. You old son. Hello, Stub. This is Ben. Come on up.
I'm not Stub.
Now, this was queer because I knew that was Stubbs' voice. Stubbs got whiskers and he's old and he's drunk and only Tom will employ him. I knew Stubbs' voice, but I didn't argue. Whoever you are, come on up and set for a while. Where's Tom? Huh? I flashed the light, and a shadow moved fast away from my light, as if it was afraid of something. What's the trouble, Stubb? What are you hiding for?
I got the reason. Put out the light. I want to ask a question.
Okay. Fair. Now, what's the matter? You drunk?
No. No, I ain't drunk. I want to ask you. Well, it's hard to say. If you see a very strange thing, will you kill it?
Ah, stop it, Stubb. Come on up on the porch. I don't feel like playing games. Then I heard the dogs. They were Tom's dogs, though I didn't know it immediately. I snapped on the light quick, and there was a shadow where Stubbs' voice had come from. I saw it just for a second. The shadow was big. Not quite as big as a man, though. It ran on two legs, all right. Nearly as big as a man, but when you see a man, you know it's a man, and I didn't recognize this as a man. Then Tom come up with his dogs. They seemed rattled.
Hi, Ben. You seen anything queer?
I'm not sure. But I heard something. Stub Evans was talking to me from the dark, but he wouldn't come up on the porch. What's the matter?
You weren't talking to Stubb?
He wasn't here. He's been out. I know his voice. Only he talked queer. Oh, here he comes now. Got to get him in the house. He's asleep. Quick, let's get Stubb indoors. Well, we went inside, and we couldn't wake Stubb. His pulse was okay, and he sure wasn't drunk. Tom told me how Stubb came to leave the place, so he and Brick had to go looking for him. Stubb went out after the fireball. We see it come down beyond the mountains yonder, spitting fire. Stubb had heard that shooting stars and fireballs worth a little something, so he chased off after it. He rode out around sunrise and never came back. We went out at 3 o'clock to look for him. We found his horse, but no Stubb. There was a dozen acres of newly fallen landslide where the fireball had hit, so we hunted for him. Around sunrise, we heard his voice. He hollered to us, and we went and found him asleep. He's been asleep just like he is now ever since. Whether Stubb was with you or not, I heard his voice here. And I saw something queer. But it weren't a man. Yeah, dogs acting queer, too. Well, I went and showed Tom where it was I saw the shadow thing. The dogs were still worried, but we didn't see nothing more. You're dead sure it talked to you, Ben? Something did. In Stubbs' voice. It asked if I'd kill something very strange if I saw it. Remember, there was a fireball last night.
The castaway!
What's what?
I want to eat friends!
Sounds like Stubb. But he's asleep. I'm going up there. The voice came from the hill above the house, and I climbed up there with the flashlight and the rifle. I'd gone up halfway and had seen nothing. I saw nothing move, but there was a plop and this bright light and this great heat, and I jumped back, and I felt pretty angry, and the back of my neck crawled. Something that called itself a castaway had thrown something at me. A weapon. But it weren't a human weapon. couldn't face it, Tom, but I'm darned if I'll run away from it. I gave the thing a dozen chances to kill me if it wanted to before it climbed down. Now, what in the name of all the... What is it, Tom?
I don't know. Let's go see Stubb.
Stubb woke up out there, and we heard what had happened to him. Long ride for nothing. I looked around, all the mess that fireball's made. I searched. I thought I might find something valuable. I bent down, and then I felt creepy. I tried to turn and look, but I couldn't turn. I was froze where I stood out there, and the mess that fireball had made. And then something came up behind me and pulled at my clothes and plucked my skin. Touched me around the head, here and here, and it was mighty queer and horrible, Mr. Whitberg. If it was the same thing that talked to me in Stubbs' voice, then it must have put something in Stubbs' temple and learned how to talk from what was in his mind.
And used a flamethrower to warn you back when you climbed.
Flamethrower? Took my mind? Oh, hold on, Stubb. We'll explain. Tom, it wasn't a flamethrower like you'd expect. Something else. Though it'd stop any animal I've ever known. Castaway. Could be at that. The Earth would be a desert island, and we'd be savages. We'd be the murderous natives riding across the mountains to the spot where a wrecked...
No, that's impossible. Us, that thing, the fireball?
Why not? And you see, to it, we're natives. He sights a single one of us, Stubb, paralyzes him, reads his mind, and learns to talk. But he'd be appalled at the violence and brutality he finds in that native's mind.
And we're going to fight it. If there are creatures with spaceships and such, then compared to them, we are savages. And if there's a castaway on Earth that we humans seem savages to, then he's pretty dangerous. We got to get him, or it.
What the tarnation are you talking about, Tom?
I'm saying stub it. Me and Ben here aren't going on any fishing trip at all like we planned. We're going hunting. Since biotechs appeared on the market, we've had many endorsements from time to time, and these can be seen in our office. I'm broadcasting some of these to you, and will do so as they come to hand. Mrs. M.V. Krauser of Fifth Avenue Pine Hotel wrote and said, "Here's a letter from me of appreciation to the makers of biotechs. I am highly satisfied with biotechs and have introduced my friends to your product, and so far there has not been one complaint that it does not live up to the claims you make for it. I have two sons aged 2.5 and 1 year. The elder boy gets filthy dirty, and his clothes are pretty much the worse for wear at the end of the day. The baby naturally drags himself about, and his little diapers become very black and dirty at the end of each day, too. The point I'm trying to make with you is that every night I soak these diapers and the elder child's clothing in biotechs, and in the morning, all I have is a slight rubbing and rinsing, and that's it. The name again is Biotex." I knew a pilot in the Pacific. He was cast away when his plane conked out. He made it to an island. He made friends with the natives. They helped him. With signals, homemade boats, all the jazz. A destroyer came and picked him up. The destroyer left a party on the island to watch for other castaways. The island grew into a base. What happened to the natives? You tell me. Now we have a castaway on a world. When his people come, what will happen to the natives? Us. Stub, you and Britt take care of the ranch. Ben and me, we're going hunting. Hey, found something, Ben. Come on.
We found some, all right. Scratches in the earth. The scratches were words, and the words said, "Man, I want to make friends."
Man, I want
To make friends. He read Stubbs' mind all right. He knows how to read and write. But, Tom, he calls us man. That means he must be something else.
To him, we're savages. Savages on a desert island, because he can read minds. Has powers only we can dream about. What happened to the Incas, the Indians? What happened to the South Seas? Want this to happen to the whole earth? Find him, boy. Go on, find him.
The thing we hunted needed our help. Help might mean signaling in some way to others of its race. What then? But an intelligent creature on a world of strange, hostile beings would be a pretty tragic case. The message was desperate. I felt bad. But I hunted the castaway. We backtracked. For the thing we hunted had backtracked. And close by the words, "Will you be my friends?" Tom scratched, "Show yourself," in big, plain letters. We retreated and waited, and the day wore on. And we saw something there by the messages. They weren't hardly human at all. It was the size of a man, pale gray in color, all over. There was a belt around its middle, and there were things fastened on the belt. I couldn't look for long. I felt kind of sick, and I got a quivering sensation on the back of my neck.
Shut up.
Then the thing looked up, and Tom fired.
Well, it's warm now, Ben. Too bad I missed. It's gone. We got to report it now. They're going to have to bring out Air Force planes and the Army to hunt it now. I can guess what it'll do now. It's got from Stubbs' mind, along with how to read and write, what Stubb knew about the country. It'll go to someplace else Stubb knows now to try to make friends and get what it wants.
Well, where?
Stubb gets whiskey from Clayton, from his cabin up ahead, 5 miles. If we can get there first, we might get another shot at him. Come on, let's move. Come on, boys, move. Clayton! Miss Mrs. Clayton, we're looking for her. Hey, what's the matter?
Some critter killed my little Sally. Come help me track it down and kill it.
It was a natural critter. I see it. No use tracking. It walked on 2 legs. It was ash gray. Dogs were scared of it. There wasn't a human being.
Yeah. I was hunting for squirrels. Sally was with me. The dogs stirred up something they were scared of. They howled terrible. I went to see a little Sally. She come with me, and this here thing comes busted out, and I let it have it in both barrels, and lightning comes from it, and I ran.
Leaving Sally?
Well, it's from lightning. I forgot.
Let's go see.
The lady led us to where it happened, and I can tell you there was a murderous red rage filling me. We went onto bare, damp ground, and the woman began to sob because we found footprints, a man's and a child's. We followed, and we found the shotgun Clayton had dropped. We found a patch of burnt ground, the lightning the thing had flung. But there were nothing else. No little girl, no tracks, no scrap from a tiny dress. Nothing. The hunt went on and on. We hunted for Sally's body. We hunted for the thing Tom had tried to kill. We hunted. Nothing. A lot more people joined us. Soon we had 100 nearly searching through the scrub around that place.
Ben! There's no use looking anymore. We just found a man asleep. He took his clothes and left him asleep like Stubb was. He can't be waked. You know what that means?
I'm thinking about the kid. What does it mean?
It means that things learn now everything another man had in his brain. It's wearing the man's clothes now. And at a distance it'll pass for a man.
But what did it do with the little girl?
I'll kill it. I forgot. The kid's all right. She says a funny man carried her to town. A nice funny man. She says he could run very, very fast.
Well, of course, we'd forgotten all about fishing, and so I went back to Tateville, and I went to my office, passed a lot of people in the streets all talking about what had happened to Sally or Matt. It got dark, and I sat there in my office. The fireball must have been a spacecraft. This much I knew. But how to print it all and make people believe what we'd seen out there. I was sitting there when my door opened. It was pretty dark, and I couldn't see who it was.
Mr. Frickberg?
Hold on, I'll make a light.
Don't. I'll be needing my eyes presently. No need to dazzle them with light. I was in that one today, Mr. Frickberg. There's some mystery there. The little girl was perfectly all right. But she says it was a funny man who brought her to town. A nice, funny man. But she can't say what was funny about it. I have been in touch with the castaway. I came here to tell you the story you just told me. With one addition.
I tried to remember whose voice I was hearing. It was familiar, but I wasn't sure.
The castaway blundered in on a man, Clayton, who shot at him. The castaway threw a flame pellet to frighten him away. It did. He left the little girl behind. She was hysterical with terror at sight of him. So, he used his mind to calm her. Quiet her as a man Stubb was quiet. The castaway was very bitter and desperate just then. He believed he would have to make himself a fortress of weapons to guard himself against the natives of this world. But, in the little girl's memory, he began to understand what the natives were really like.
What did he learn?
That man and his race are much alike. Would have to be so. As all birds to fly must have wings that are very similar. So beings that are intelligent must have intelligences that are very near in kind. The castaway can be friends with men. He needs to have companionship. He cannot hope ever to leave Earth. If he is alone, he will go mad. Like a man in solitude.
Well, that's a message for me?
Yes. The memories of the man Stubbs said you were a good man. So the castaway asks your help.
To make friends among men?
Yes.
He can't. He's different from us, so we hate him.
You know that I am the castaway.
Of course I know. And you can kill me. And I'm very sorry for you because you will be killed. No matter how much you wish to be our friend. Well, there's nothing else to be done. You have to be killed because you're intelligent and are not a man.
But you don't hate me.
I do. My scalp crawls at the thought of you sitting there and talking to me, and you're not a man. But I'll be sorry for you, even while I try and kill you.
I have made a mask of clay, and I'll put on the clothes of a man. I shall have to make a better mask and find out how to deceive dogs. I need to live among men. After all, I'm a civilized being. I have already learned that noises like those mean that somebody is on my trail. So I will leave you now.
Well, I don't care. I just don't care what you say, boy. He's dead. I saw him kill Ben.
Tom, chasing that thing, I found myself screaming out. Like a beast, I wanted to see it killed, and I wanted to be there when it was killed. When it got out of town running fast, and we saw it looking like a man, but we knew it was not a man, but just a castaway looking like a man. When we all saw it, we all of us wanted it dead, because we knew its danger.
Yeah, and across the bridge there, in the starlight, plain a target as any man could wish for. Guns, lots of guns.
No, Tom, no. It wanted us all to think that.
And the river fast from all the rain. And he fell, and up again, and staggered, and
Went over the edge. And boy, nothing to live in that river.
I don't believe he's dead, Tom.
Dead? He's dead.
That's what he wanted you all to believe, Tom. Part of his plan, Tom. He's alive. I know it. I know, too, he's got to be killed, but I feel very sorry for him.
Yeah, well, you're entitled to your opinions, Ben. Hey, what about that fishing trip? Hey, Ben.
No, Tom. Don't feel like it. I want to think things over. And I'm still thinking. Sometimes I believe what the castaway said about never being able to get away from Earth. Picking brains around Tateville, he wouldn't learn much about atomic fuel and that. The sort of stuff that might help him get back to his people. But away from Tateville. And if he did get back, he might tell his kindred about the interesting savages he'd found where he'd been cast away. Which would be the beginning and the end of humanity. That's why I've been worrying a lot lately since the appearance of that curious disease at Los Alamos and Hanford, Washington. Every so often, a key technician or one of the authorities on atomic theory is found sleeping. His pulse is normal, his breathing is deep. There's absolutely nothing wrong with him that can be detected. When he wakes, he only remembers the creeping sensation.
Now, step into the incredible, amazing future as we go exploring tomorrow. And now, here is your guide to these adventures of the mind, John Campbell, Jr.
Hate and love are really quite close to each other. Usually hate stems from a misunderstanding of something which, properly understood, would make love. One of the concepts that many people don't see, miss, just get all wrong, is the fact that there is superiority and there is inferiority. But those things are specialized and narrowed into special areas. If you don't recognize them, the system won't work at all. If you do recognize them, well, you know, each must then recognize two things: that he is superior and that he's inferior. This is a story of a man who hadn't learned, hadn't found out the importance of special superiority and special inferiority.
Phil, are you ready for a drink?
My name is not Philip. My name is Senga.
What?
Nothing.
You'd better drink this.
Thanks.
To our last night on Earth for some time to come. Or better yet, to this house where I was born. To the green mountains and jungles we've loved and hunted in. To all this we leave behind.
I was looking at her.
Yes, she's beautiful. The brightest planet of them all.
She's dark and she's ugly.
Not from this distance.
From here, no. But she's ugly.
The ancients didn't think so when they named her Venus.
They never got there.
No. But you did. You've been there.
So will you. Tomorrow you'll be on your way. We both will.
Sen, you've never talked much about the place.
I told you it's hot. Very hot.
Animals?
A great many. But I saw only a few. You mostly only hear them. Once I wanted to go hunting. Your father said no. He couldn't forget I was Indian.
You and I have hunted here, so don't talk rot.
Your father never approved. All right, he picked me up in the mountains here when I was 4 years old. He brought me to this house. Now I am 32 with 28 years of education and civilization behind me, but I am still Indian. All right, Guido. Tell me I have a complex.
No. But ever since you came back from Venus, you've had a chip on your shoulder. Now, come on, fella. You and I grew up like brothers. There's no difference between us.
Isn't there?
And you're a first-rate space pilot, as good as my father was.
As good as you, too?
Just as good. After all, you brought the ship back to Earth alone. Oh, almost alone, anyway. You had my father's body with you. He was a great man, son. The greatest space explorer of this age.
Yes, he was a great man.
At least it was you who shared his last minutes. You he chose to go with him on that trip. He thought quite a lot of you.
It was not a matter of choice that he took me along.
What do you mean by that?
Nothing. I've said more than I intended.
I have a right to know, Phil.
Yes, when we get there. Let's call it a night. We blast off at dawn. We need sleep. Green light.
Blast off.
Coffee?
Thanks, I can use a cup.
250,000 miles out in space before morning coffee. Not bad, eh?
Phil.
Yes?
My father was not the first man to land on Venus. But no one else, so far as we know, found diamonds there.
No one else ever went to the right area. Besides, you use the word diamond in the plural sense. The singular would be more correct. The peak of this mountain is one solid diamond, pushed up there from the interior by volcanic action. A slab of diamond that must weigh 7,000 tons.
If it's true, then diamonds back home will become absolutely worthless.
Not immediately. And what happens later will not concern us.
Why didn't you bring back a sample?
There were many reasons. You'll understand when you get there.
There's a lot you haven't told me.
A great deal, yes, but it can wait. Let's play some chess.
Exploring Tomorrow continues in just a moment.
All of us, as American citizens, believe in our inherent liberties and freedoms, such as the freedom of association, assembly, and action. But if you will read the First Amendment to the Constitution, you will notice that it is worded, Congress shall make no law abridging the right of the people peaceably to assemble. Whatever the association, assembly, or action, it must be accomplished peaceably. We are given the right to petition, for example, but that right cannot be used to bring malice upon others. We must assume the responsibility for the purposes and actions of associations and assemblies. And if we accept that responsibility, we ensure our freedom.
When a kid grows up, at a certain period of life, he stops being a child, and yet he is not yet a man. He's an adolescent, somewhere in between. This is one of the most critical areas of development. This is where we have our juvenile delinquents starting, becoming what they are. The juvenile delinquent is an adolescent gone wrong and misunderstanding. An adolescent is in the problem of inferiority and superiority. He's inferior to his parents. And it's a general inferiority because the parents have greater experience, greater understanding, greater wisdom, simply by the sheer accumulation of understanding of problems they've had to solve and experience themselves.
We have to walk about a quarter of a mile through the jungle. Then we start to climb. What's the matter?
Maybe hallucination.
You saw something?
No, someone.
Oh?
A man, half naked, a savage. You saw him, too.
Yes, I glimpsed him.
There are people here.
That's right.
You told the newspapers you saw no sign of people.
I didn't feel like telling the newspapers all I saw any more than your father did after his first trip here. Oh, yes, Guido. He knew about these people. He never told anyone.
They're human, like us.
Descendants from a group of people who came here from Earth millions of years ago. People more advanced in science than we are today. Only through the years they lost their knowledge, reverted to the jungle. At least, That was your father's theory.
Are they hostile?
I'm not sure.
They've seen the ship before, of course.
Yes, they've seen it before. They know we come out of space.
It's fantastic. Descendants of Earth people. It's as fantastic as your Diamond Mountain.
The Diamond Mountain is very real. Come. We have a long walk.
How far up are we?
About 1,000 feet above ground level, I'd say.
The air's thin. Shouldn't be this thin at only 1,000 feet.
Nevertheless, it is.
I can hardly breathe.
It won't get much worse. Stick it out.
We should have brought oxygen masks.
It's too hot. They'd be impractical.
That's right. Maybe it's the heat, not so much the thin air. I feel as though I'm being scorched up.
Save your breath. Come on.
Right.
Come on.
Oh, we've still got to climb, that's right. I feel like I can't go much further.
Try.
I can't. Oh. Sorry, Phil.
You did better than I thought, as a matter of fact. Much better than your father.
What?
He collapsed about 100 yards further back, but of course he was much older. Don't look so shocked.
I don't understand.
It is simple to understand. This is the place where I discovered I am not of an inferior race. Here in this place, I was your father's superior. Now I am your superior. I can live where you can die, where he died.
You let him die?
No, I didn't want him to die. I wanted to enjoy my sense of superiority. I carried him back, but it was too late. He was too weakened.
I can't think properly.
But I can. Your father wanted you to come here for the diamond. It was an easy promise for me to give him. I wanted to bring you here. I wanted to realize my superiority.
It's crazy kind of talk. That's crazy. You're like my brother. He was like your father.
Oh, no. He was the great Paulo Santos. Perhaps the greatest explorer and ship designer of his day. He built our ship. He was the scientist supreme, superior man. And you're his natural son. Guido, look up there. I said look up there. You can see the diamond peak.
Some kind of rock. Crystal rock.
No, pure diamond. I have been up there. I chipped a piece off. I brought it back here to your father. He knew it was diamond. He lived just long enough to confirm that. I can reach the diamond, you see. But you can't. No one of your race could, but I can.
I've got to get to lower ground.
Not without my help. See, you're too weak to move. You must depend on me.
You're crazy.
Oh, no. I won't let you die. But I'll take away your sidearms. I can't have you armed. How does it feel, Guido?
Feel?
About superior man suddenly confronted by superiority of an inferior race.
I've got to get to lower ground.
A situation that reflects the law of the universe, Guido. Your father was always talking about that. Well, I don't want you to die. I want you to live so that you can serve me. I get you to lower ground.
You know, hate has a very real place in life. We need it. Man is unique among the living things on this planet in that he does have hate. Man hated the wolf. He hated the cave bear. He eliminated those species that were just not tolerable. Hate has a good side. Hate has a place. The difficulty is when the hate is misplaced, when it is generalized and not specialized to the point where it belongs, to the thing that is really wrong. I'm afraid Phil misunderstood and had his hate directed in the wrong direction. It wasn't a race he hated. He just thought he did. What he hated was to have someone who was older and wiser than he himself. And now he had misplaced it to another guy who was trying to do a good job with him.
You won't have any use for sidearms, so don't try to get them back. If you do, I'll kill you.
What do you have in mind?
I have a plan, but I'll need to have the help of the people here. You can't reach the diamond, but I can, and so can they. Our job is to get them to carry the drilling equipment up that hill so that I can start chipping the diamond.
You think they'll work for you?
They're afraid of me. After your father died, they attacked, and I had to kill some of them with a blaster. That's why they don't show themselves now. It may take a little while, but I've got to make them understand that they must do what I want.
Suppose you succeed.
Well, when I leave here, I'll take away enough diamond to convert into enough cash that will make me just about the richest man on earth. Once I've done that...
What about me?
You?
Won't I be an obstacle?
No.
You'll do away with me.
Not here. I'll wait until we're out in space.
Just like that?
I'm afraid so. It's funny, isn't it?
Oh, yes. You identify yourself with what you call an inferior race and resent the people who made you our intellectual equal.
Human nature. I should feel grateful instead, eh? Is that it?
You've been shown nothing but kindness. Gratitude wouldn't be out of place.
If you only knew how I hated that word.
I know. Some people do. It makes them squirm. They cry for help, they get it, and they hate you for it.
I didn't cry for help.
Yes. You were a child of 4, abandoned in the jungle. You were crying when my father found you. You'd have died or been killed by some animal. Or survived and just been a savage.
Now it's coming out. Everything you and your father felt about me.
I'm sorry for you, Bill.
You sorry for me. I hold the reins.
No. History is full of people like you. The little upstarts with a lust for power and hatred. You never last long. The law of the universe never tolerates you.
Law of the universe. You sound like your father.
That's nice to know, Phil. By the way, we're being watched.
I know that.
You'd better let me have my side on it.
Not a chance.
You said these people were scared.
They are.
Not scared enough. That's another law of the universe and a lesson from history. People are never too scared to resist an invader. And we're invaders.
They won't resist. If I turn this blaster on them again...
The ones you kill won't.
I don't want to kill them. I want to talk to them.
In what language?
Sign language. What else?
You can try.
It may take weeks or months.
Well, what happens in the meantime?
We'll go back to the ship. There's open space there. Sooner or later, a few of them will approach us. Then I'll try to talk to them.
Then we better start down, unless we're surrounded.
I'll blast our way through if there's trouble. Come on. Keep ahead of me where I can see you. No trouble. You see?
I'm sure I spotted a couple.
Shadows. All right. We're about a quarter of a mile from the ship. Come on. Keep in front.
Get down.
A slingshot. Piece of rock.
Yes, it hit this tree instead of one of us.
Piece of rock. Here it is.
A diamond the size of a small egg.
Diamonds for ammunition. This planet must be crawling with diamonds. Keep down.
Yeah.
I blast from the kingdom come.
I bet we're the first ones in history to be stoned with diamonds. Better pick them up.
You pick them up. If I could just see what those savages are.
They're not too close. We can't stay here. Come on before they close in from all sides. You may not have time to shoot in all directions.
All right. We push on. Hear anything?
No, but I've got a feeling they see us.
The ship is pretty close now. Away.
I had to use a gun once. Better keep quiet. You have a nasty cut on your head. We're going back to report to the World Council. Every country in the world has a stake in this matter. The Council will decide what to do about the diamonds, not us.
Why didn't you leave me there? To them.
Let's say 2 basic laws came into conflict. The law of the universe decreed your death. You're alive only because of the basic law of civilized human nature, compassion. You've still got to learn that, Phil. Nothing will change that.
You know, you can make yourself and a lot of other people around you mighty unhappy if you try to have all values and be able to do everything. Consider yourself tops at anything around. None of us has that ability. We can't do it all. But each of us has his own special talents, his own individual abilities. And for these, every one of us is valued. And every one of us needs every other one for that special individual talent. No individual is everything. The other guy's got something you need.
Heard in our cast tonight were Mason Adams and Donald Bucher. The script was by John Fleming. Produced and directed by Sanford Marshall here in New York. This is Guy Wallace speaking.
Buck Rogers in the 25th century.
Buck Rogers is on the air. This program is brought to you by the makers of Popsicle, Fudgicle, and Creamsicle, those delicious frozen confections on a stick. And now a message from the famous fellow who won the contest for the typical American boy, Popsicle Pete.
Hello, fellows and girls. Are you saving up bags for those exciting free presents I told you about? Gee, what wonderful gifts you get. Hundreds of them. Roller skates, telescope, movie camera, doll, bracelet, wallet, table tennis. That's only a few. Just save the bags from Popsicle, Fudgicle, and Creamsicle. Ask at your ice cream store for the free Popsicle gift list. It tells you where to send the bags you save and how many to send. You get a free coupon with it worth 10 bags. That'll get you started fine.
Yes, and here's an idea. Get Mom and Dad eating those wonderful confections, too. They're easy to eat on those handy sticks, and they're easy to digest. They're so pure and fresh and wholesome. And, oh, boy, so delicious. You'll get their bags, too, for those marvelous gifts.
Popsicle, Fudgicle, and Creamsicle are biggest for a nickel. Don't forget that.
Yes, but now let's go on with the amazing adventures of Buck Rogers in the 25th century. In our last episode, you recall, we learned that our old friends, Black Barney and Willie, were the ones who took off in the rocket ship equipped with the new gyrocosmic relativator. And we also know that the arch criminal, Killer Kane, suddenly appeared there aboard Black Barney's rocket ship. But that last is something that Buck and Wilma and Dr. Hewer don't know. And as we join them, they're simply talking things over in the doctor's laboratory. Shall we join them? Okay, then, here we go. 500 years into the future.
Well, Buck, Wilma?
Yes, Doctor?
At least we know that our rocket plane is in good hands. Yes, and that the new gyrocosmic relativator works all right.
Yes, Barney said when he radioed that he took off at full speed, and that he didn't even feel the pull of acceleration.
Well, as long as he's bringing the plane right down again, hadn't we better go over to the spaceport to meet him?
Not much point in going over right away, is there?
Huh?
It took him some time to fly out to wherever he is, and he won't be able to get back any faster.
Yes, Wilma's right. And we can put in good time right here in my laboratory, finding out what was taken by whoever ransacked it.
Yeah. Well, whoever broke in couldn't have been here very long.
What makes you think that, Buck?
Well, for one thing, there doesn't seem to have been much damage done. A few drawers pulled out on the desks and cabinets, and only a couple of scientific instruments moved from their usual places.
Well, you know what that indicates.
What, Doctor?
Whoever broke in wanted one particular thing.
Yeah.
And didn't have to waste much time in looking for it.
Come to think of it, Doctor, he couldn't have had very much time. It was only a few minutes after we arrived at the spaceport that the captain of the rocket police discovered this had happened.
Exactly. Well, let's look carefully around and find out what, if anything, is missing.
We can certainly be sure of one thing.
What's that?
This was done by Kane and Ardela. No one else would do such a thing.
Yes, and of course they've just escaped from the municipal prison.
Yes, sir. Don't you see what happened? The minute they got out, they realized they'd need equipment. And there was no more logical place for them to try to find it than right here in this laboratory.
Only one of them was here, though, Wilma.
How do you know?
Well, Police Information Bureau said that when they made their break, Kane and Ardela separated.
Uh-huh.
And what's more, a private citizen saw just one person take off in a rocket roadster from the neighborhood of this laboratory.
Buck, could he identify that person?
No, sir, he was too far away. But he's absolutely sure there was only one.
Maybe we aren't right after all.
Huh?
About it being Kane and Ardela. They usually stick pretty close together. And just getting out of prison would be all the more reason for doing so.
Except that one of them might have come here to get something, while the other tried to lay hands on a rocket ship.
Yes.
Well, we're wasting time just standing around here talking about it. Let's look around and see if anything's missing. Buck.
Yes, sir?
Look through that chest there against the wall and make sure that my bound copies of the formula for...
All right, sir.
Wait a minute.
Yes, sir?
The instrument devised by Professor Smith, the mad scientist.
Huh?
The instrument that subjugated people to his willpower when he used it on them.
The psychic restriction ray.
Yes.
Why, it was right over there in that corner, back of where Wilma's standing.
Well, it's not here now.
Well, then we must look for it quickly. An instrument like that in the hands of a man like Kane...
Don't I know it?
Quick, open every cabinet and locker in the place.
Right okay, Doctor.
With his mad desire for power, why, Kane would use that instrument on everybody he could lay his hands on. No sign of it yet?
Not that I can see, Doctor.
But there must be.
Nothing over here, Doctor.
Well, then suppose you look back in the stockroom, Buck. Perhaps I left the instrument in there.
Yes, sir.
Are you absolutely sure you had it here in your laboratory, Doctor?
Yes, Wilma, absolutely sure. Well, Buck, is it in there?
I'm afraid not, Doctor.
Well, then,
no,
okay.
Sir. That's what he took, all right.
Well, listen, what we've got to do. The first thing is to report to the President that we're all ready to set out after Kane and Ardela.
Which, of course, we'll do the minute Black Barney gets our rocket plane back here.
Yes, and we'll need all the information we can get from the rocket police relative to their escape from the municipal prison.
I'll take care of that, Doctor.
And I'll radio the President's office.
Good. We'll go out to the spaceport and meet Barney with our ship.
But, Doctor, is that a good ship for chasing Kane and Ardela?
No, Buck, no. We'll have the gyrocosmic relativator from it installed on a fast-fighting cruiser.
Right. Wilma, the call letters for police information are 413.
Okay, Buck.
Calling X38.
Wilma Deering calling
Buck
413.
Rogers calling X38. Calling X38.
Wilma Deering
Buck Rogers calling X38.
Yes, Barney. I can't begin to tell you how nice it is to be with you again.
Say now, you listen here now to me, Killer Kane.
And Willie.
Yes, sir?
Some time since I've seen you, too.
Listen, Kane. What's your idea of stowing away on my rocket ship, huh? If you think you're going to get away with
Stand
it...
back.
But I tell you...
Stand back. Don't you know by this time that occasionally my trigger finger gets a bit nervous? And Barney, a rocket pistol isn't very pleasant at this close range.
Please, you wouldn't shoot Mr. Barney, would you?
Of course not, Willie. Unless he were to make the serious mistake of trying to oppose me. Now, look here.
Yeah, well, what do you want?
A minute ago, you spoke of my having stowed away on your rocket ship.
Yeah.
Your rocket ship. Surely you don't pretend that you were clever enough to have installed a device like this?
You mean that gyro thing?
Barney. How many times must you be told that it's a gyrocosmic relativator?
Mr. Barney can say that word, Mr. Kane, and don't you believe he can't either.
Yeah, sure.
Well, the fact remains that neither the ship nor the relativator belongs to you. Am I right?
Well, it's sort of this way.
Don't try to stall, Barney.
You and Willie committed a very serious offense by taking off in this ship without proper authority.
When we talked to Dr. Hewer by radio, he said it was all right, Mr. Kane.
Yeah, and all we need to do is fly back with it.
Yes.
Told you it's all right, eh?
Yes, sir.
And when you merrily land at the Central Spaceport, you'll forget all about the fact that you ran off with the greatest invention he ever turned out. Not one bit of it.
What do you mean?
The minute you set foot on the ground there at the Niagara Spaceport, you will find yourself surrounded by rocket police, ready to throw you into chains.
No, sir. I betcha.
What excuse have you for stealing this rocket ship, Barney?
We didn't. We just took it on a test flight for the gyro thing, so Lieutenant Wilmer, Captain Rogers, and Dr. Ure wouldn't have to take no chances with it.
You expect them to believe a story like that?
It's the truth. That's what it is.
Yes, sir, it's the truth.
Yeah, and I tell you, you're crazy to think that you can get away with any such childish excuse. Truth or not. Well, if you have any sense, instead of going back to Niagara to trouble, you'll come along with me.
Huh?
You know, there was a time, Barney, when you were not only willing, but anxious to work with me. And if I remember correctly, you were always well paid for doing it.
Well, that's the times I want to forget, when I didn't know no better than be an air pirate.
At that time, you had a stronghold full of treasure that would have been the envy of all nations. You had gold, power. You can have those things again, Barney, my boy. If you'll use your head and come along with our daylight.